It is 10:01. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs, 104.5 The Zone Studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. NFL honors were last night in San Francisco, and Mike Vrabel is the NFL Coach of the Year for the second time in his career. Matt Stafford took home MVP as Jackson Smith and Jigba won Offensive Player of the Year, and Myles Garrett ran away with Defensive Player of the Year. On Sunday, the NFL season concludes with Super Bowl 60. Patriots and Seahawks at Levi's Stadium. Kickoff at 5:30. Westwood One coverage of the Super Bowl will begin at 11 a.m. on Sunday right here on The Zone. College hoops this weekend. Tennessee heads to Kentucky tomorrow night, looking to avenge that loss in Knoxville a few weeks ago. Tip-off is at 7:30. Vol Network coverage beginning at 7. And number 15, Vanderbilt, is at Memorial Gym. They host Oklahoma tomorrow. Tip-off is at 2:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone on this Football Friday, the last one of the 2025 season. It never really feels like a Football Friday, right? That Friday before Super Bowl Sunday. The Super Bowl feels like it's just its own thing, and the NFL season feels as though it really concludes late in the postseason. Maybe that's just me, but we've got 3 hours to talk about it. Coach Matt coming on in hour 2, Brett Kern in studio in hour 3 for our final game pick of the NFL season. Glad to be with you. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Lucas Panzica, Robert Walsh with you until 1 o'clock. Buck has called out sick. He's not going to make it today. He was so taken with Mike Vrabel, his precious Vrabel, the only good coach Buck has ever covered. So in his mind, the best coach in NFL history. And he was so emotionally taken by Mike Vrabel winning NFL Coach of the Year that he couldn't contain himself, Robert. He came in, he lost control of himself and had to go home because he was just couldn't handle it.
I feel like you're giving him a little bit too much grace to say that he called in. And he did not call us. Sent us a text.
That's true.
He said, "Oh, my tummy hurt. I can't come into work today."
Well, he did come in. He drove in, and I guess just totally lost control of his body, threw up, and then drove out.
Good for you. Good for you, buddy. Actually, I also feel like I'm sick, and I will have to also go home. So you'll have to excuse me.
Okay, who steps in that case?
I think you would have to come back here and do the whole thing yourself. You'd have to Howard Stern it. Work your board, work your mic, work the show.
Stern doesn't work. I mean, I know he's at a board, but what is he actually doing on that board?
He cuts mics, plays audio. It's fed to him. But, yeah,
Sure.
he does the whole shebang right there. He doesn't produce on his own, obviously.
Yeah. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. We will be talking Super Bowl 60 between Patriots and Seahawks. A Hall of Fame class was unveiled yesterday, and we have much to discuss. We are also on 104.5 The Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. So, Buck is not here to glaze Mike Vrabel, but I am curious to hear from Titans fans on this because we have just beaten the dead horse. That is Mike Vrabel's redemption arc here in year one as the head coach of the Patriots, leading them to the Super Bowl, winning NFL Coach of the Year for the second time in his career. Now he has done it twice with two different franchises. Who did we determine? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that the last coach was to win NFL Coach of the Year with two different teams.
Bruce Arians? I think
Bruce,
that's who it
right.
was.
Bruce Arians.
He won it as an interim coach, and then once again with the Cardinals, Steelers, Bucks, somebody?
I want to say he won it with the Cardinals, because I don't think he was the Coach of the year they won the Super Bowl with Brady. But yes, Bruce Arians won Coach of the Year when he was the interim of the Colts when Chuck Pagano was going through cancer treatment. And so it has been since then. And Mike Vrabel now adds to that list. But are Titans fans just tired of this, of the Vrabel discussion as it pertains to the Tennessee Titans? Because I tend to think they are. We put it out to a poll at Lucas Panzica's, where you can vote on the polls today. I believe Titans fans are tired of being shown Mike Vrabel and this sort of illusion that if Mike Vrabel was still the coach of the Titans, then look where they would be. I think that's far-fetched, and it's just a convenient thing to say as he heads up to New England, and granted, has done a fantastic job of building that team to fit his culture. Obviously, Drake May has taken that leap. Josh McDaniels, who won Assistant Coach of the Year, by the way, the Patriots cleaning up in the coaching categories last night in San Francisco. But I'd be curious to hear from you guys on this. 615-737-1045. Farsender on the F&M Bank chat says, Vrabel is Titans past. I'm done hearing about him and the Titans angle. Marciano says, I am ready for this bleep to be over. I want to look to the future. Larry says, I am tired of the Vrabel talk. So, there you go.
Well, it's not really Vrabel, right? You heard last night. Well, I think there's a new way to say it.
Mike Vrabel.
It's not really Vrabel.
Wait, one more time. This is
Mike Vrabel.
the comedian Tiffany Haddish.
I think Will made the joke this morning, Tiffany Haddish.
Haddish, yeah.
Give him a pronunciation guide. Give him the phonetics underneath it. Like, how do you not go Mike Verbal?
Well, I think Drewski had a hard time with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I hate that because part of me feels like he did that as the bit. Like Justin Timberlake ripping off Janet Jackson and exposing her breasts. Like, oh, no, we didn't mean to do this, but we totally did. Like, I feel like Drewski meant to do that. And honestly, I feel like it lessens JSN's moment. Like, I kind of hated that, but that's just me.
Dylan on the F&M Bank chat says, honestly, if we didn't fire Vrabel, I'd be willing to bet he would have left us for the Patriots anyway. Russell says, both can be true. It was a mistake to fire Vrabel, and no, the Titans would not be in the Super Bowl if they had kept him. So, can it be, I suppose it can be true that it was a mistake to fire Vrabel. I just think it's so much more complicated than that to me. There was so much more going on around the Mike Vrabel situation. Like, what was the bigger mistake, Robert, in your opinion, that the Titans made? Because obviously, when you look at the last 5 years, there have been mistakes along the way, several of them, as they try to come out of this little era of darkness here and find their first winning season since 2021. What is the bigger mistake to you as we look back on it? And I promise you, I can't promise for Buck's sake, but I promise for our sake, he loves to talk about his Vrabel. For our sake, this will be the last time we talk about this because we are coming off the heels of Mike Vrabel winning Coach of the Year, and he's about to coach the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Bigger mistake, firing Mike Vrabel or trying to arrange the Mike Vrabel-Rand Carthon partnership?
Oh, that's tough,
man. What doomed the Titans more to send them into that spell of, where we are now, coming off back-to-back seasons of 3 wins?
Like, would they have had to fire Vrabel if they would have just given him Cowden initially anyway? Chicken before the egg type stuff. So I would probably say trying to force the Rand Vrabel partnership, because if a year earlier you would have been more willing to give him a little more power, there probably wouldn't have been that struggle for power the year after. So I'd probably say trying to square peg round hole Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon together would be my question. But again, we'd love to hear from people and get their opinion. 615-737-1045.
I've said it multiple times. I think the Vrabel era was headed to a certain place here, no matter what. There wasn't this quarterback answer on the way. In fact, the quarterbacks that were in place, we saw Mike Vrabel work with quarterbacks here that went on to have more success elsewhere, like Malik Willis. There was not a quarterback answer on the horizon. There was not a long-term offensive coordinator answer on the horizon. The roster was still in a state of deterioration, a lot of which had to do with John Robinson, and some of which had to do with Mike Vrabel. So it's one of those things that can be debated forever and until the end of time, but nobody's questioning that Mike Vrabel is at a place that is clearly a better fit for him, a place that he wants to be, and a place that is giving him the things that he wants. And to his credit, he has taken full advantage of the path that has been laid before him. And here are the New England Patriots in year one of the Vrabel era playing the Seahawks in Super Bowl 60.
You got his name wrong again.
Go ahead.
Mike Vrabel.
There you go.
The gusto that she said it with is what gets me. She said it confidently.
She sounds like a Star Wars character. Who's our new bounty hunter in the galaxy? It's
Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, come on up here. Meet Boba Fett. He'll be your superior.
Because so often when presenters, whether it's at the draft or awards shows, when they stumble through names, they will do it cautiously because they know that they don't know how to say the name. Like Vince Young calling Harold Landry Honor Landry at the NFL draft back in 2018. He was a little bit, he kind of tiptoed up to it. Honor Landry. He kind of stumbled through it a little bit.
See, I'm willing to give those people more grace because I feel like so many of those former players are put in a position to fail. Like, I remember Jamal Charles, who has an issue reading, a learning condition. Like, he played in the Special Olympics when he was a kid. And they sit him up there on the podium, and it's like, hey, read all this stuff that we just gave you. You don't get to prepare at all. But like Tiffany Haddish last night, she got. You have plenty of time to go. Like, okay, who are the coaches that can win? Okay, Mike McDonald got that. His dad owns a farm. I can do that one. Kyle Shanahan. Okay, a lot of H's, but I think I can figure that one out. Mike Verbal. Mike Verbal. Okay, is it no one wants to check me? Okay, that's correct. Great, let's move on. It makes no sense to me. I have much less grace for those people that had time to prepare than I do the people at the NFL draft.
If you're going to get it wrong, though, get it wrong confidently. And she definitely did that.
Mike Verbal.
Now, how about the results of the voting? Did this surprise you at all? So, Vrabel wins with 302 points. The runner-up for AP NFL Coach of the Year is Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen with 239 votes. Third is Mike McDonald of the Seahawks, 191 votes. Fourth is Ben Johnson with 145. Kyle Shanahan last in the voting with 140 votes. Did that surprise you that Kyle Shanahan was all the way at the back end of the Coach of the Year voting with the job he did with that depleted Niners roster?
It doesn't surprise me. And a guy we've had on the show a couple of times, I believe, Ted Nguyen, I can't remember who he works for, but he put something out. The Athletic, that's correct. He put something out last night that's like, we need to stop Coach of the Year being best turnaround of the year because it's essentially becoming comeback player of the year for coaches.
Yeah.
Like, okay, who bounced back the biggest from last year? But, put all these qualifiers on it. And I agree with that. It shouldn't be the coach that took the worst team to make them the best team this year. And it looks like that's a lot of it, outside of Mike McDonald, who didn't make the playoffs last year, but still had a pretty good team. Like, Kyle Shanahan, to me, the definition of coaching, getting the best out of guys that probably shouldn't be playing in the NFL when you lost a bunch of superstars, still making the playoffs, still giving people a run for their money. Unfortunately, I think I agree with Buck that Kyle Shanahan probably should have been Coach of the Year.
Honestly, I would have voted for Mike Vrabel. I get what you're saying in the comeback Coach of the Year sort of trend, which does seem to be the case. But it wasn't the case when Vrabel won it in 2021 for the Titans, I will say. That was a coaching job of the year, cobbling together a banged-up roster all the way to the 1 seed in the AFC. And remember, this is a regular season award, so Kyle Shanahan and the Niners crashing out the way they did, getting blown out by the Seahawks in the divisional round, should have no bearing on Coach of the Year voting. But, yeah, Kyle Shanahan, to me, would have been a close second. I'm really surprised that he finished last here. Maybe that has become the trend, but to me, more often than not, like, I'm okay with it. More often than not, the most impressive coaching jobs in the NFL are the ones that arrived at a place that had little and is coming off a lack of success and quickly turned that into success.
Yeah. On the other side, I feel like they did get MVP right. I was worried that they were going to Al Pacino or what's the guy? I can't remember anybody's name today. The Revenant. Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, you'll have your time. You'll have your time. They let Drake May sit a little bit. We're not going to crown the guy too soon because Matthew Stafford was far and away the best quarterback, and the MVP is a quarterback award. He was the best quarterback in the league last year.
And that was a tight race.
Very close.
Photo finish between Stafford and Drake May. We will tell you the final results of the MVP voting, as well as take a look at some other NFL headlines, including other NFL awards and a Hall of Fame class unveiled. Next on 104.5 The Zone.
the last football show of the year. NFL honors. Who went in the Hall of Fame? Who's going to be standing? And for that, we go to Lucas Panzica. Do you like that little transfer? I hate that song so
graceful.
much.
I do hate that song.
He got played to death by ESPN. Like one season, they just picked that up for college football and just ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, it just got beaten into oblivion. This was an interesting Hall of Fame class. I saw somebody, I feel like I should give proper credit, just on social media, pointing out that it's a very good thing that the Belichick thing got leaked a couple of weeks ago. It's not a good thing that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Judy Batista, the one with the tweet. But it's a great point. Can you imagine if we found out last night at NFL Honors that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer? The way that would have dominated the discussion, dominated who won Coach of the Year, MVP, who did get inducted or did get named as a Hall of Fame inductee class of 2026 would have been completely overshadowed by Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
100%. 100%. Like, instead of talking about, which I think this is an incredible class.
I agree.
Like, everyone that's going in deserves to be in. There's not one question mark. Like, we've got the second youngest Hall of Fame inductee since Gale Sayers and Luke Kuechly. You've got Larry Fitzgerald, who might be the only NFL player who has a nicer ass than you do. It's just an incredible class. Vinatieri has the most points in NFL history. Like, everyone belongs.
100%. 100%. So we'll get into the Hall of Fame class that was unveiled last night. But Matt Stafford is the MVP, the quarterback of the LA Rams. He gets it over Drake May. Drake May, in his second year in the NFL, Stafford 37, and he wins MVP for the first time in his career, his 17th NFL season. I think we all agree it was deserved. He led the league in passing yards, led the league in touchdowns, led the league in touchdowns to interceptions ratio. He threw for over 300 more passing yards than May, 15 more touchdowns than May. And, man, this was a tight race. Matthew Stafford wins the most valuable player by one vote over Patriots quarterback Drake May, 24-23, and 3 votes were distributed amongst Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. That really made the difference here. Justin Herbert gets 1 vote for NFL MVP, and Josh Allen gets 2.
MVP votes do get disclosed, correct? Or do people have to share them? Because I remember last year, Dan Orlovsky was talking about sharing his vote about Josh Allen. I didn't know if they came out kind of like the opposite of how NFL
I don't know
Hall
if
of Fame
they
votes do.
come out or if you're just allowed to disclose. I'm not sure, to be honest.
I would love to know who voted for Justin Herbert. Like, what about the season he had? Oh, he overcame both of his tackles being hurt. Like, I can't. Matthew Stafford is 175 years old. Like, doing what he did at that age in the toughest conference in the NFL, that should have been a slam dunk.
Justin Herbert this year, 26 touchdowns to 13 interceptions.
Woof.
Like, what are we doing?
I mean, that's good, but,
Sure.
like, not MVP worthy. And obviously your voters also didn't appreciate that.
And Matthew Stafford, 46 touchdowns. And the best TD to INT ratio in the league. I'm always torn in these situations because we get into this a lot with the Heisman voting. Those do get revealed. People reveal their Heisman ballots all the time. And just this past year, the amount of people that voted for Jacob Rodriguez, the Texas Tech linebacker, or Caleb Downs, the Ohio State safety. And I'm always torn between, okay, I understand whoever you believe, in this case, is the most valuable player to their team in the NFL, I suppose, is who you should vote for. But when it's so clearly a 2-horse race, there's always that part of me that's like, just vote for the one of the 2 that you know is going to win. Justin Herbert's not going to win MVP. Josh Allen isn't even really in the discussion. He's a finalist, but not really in the discussion to an MVP. Christian McCaffrey, I guess, did not get a vote. But I don't know. To me, I always think if it's so clearly a 2-horse race, don't you want to cast your vote to something that will matter towards the final result?
So to your point, our new producer, Zach, put this in front of me. Sam Monson formerly of PFF, put this out. I was the Justin Herbert vote.
It was me.
The guy had the worst offensive line in the NFL all season, and despite that, he was working miracles in almost every single game. Stafford's O-line became 2/5 as bad as Justin Herbert for 5 minutes, and he became a turnover howitzer. He embodied, quote, value. And he goes on to write a New York's best-selling novel about why he thought Justin Herbert should have been the degree. I'll read some of this. MVP is the single hardest award to correctly determine because the focus is on value, which is basically impossible to objectively evaluate with so many dependencies. But the idea that one vote altered a guy's legacy is stupid. More people than not thought each candidate did not deserve to win MVP this year, according to the votes. There were not one clear MVP who was robbed by the award. Most people were torn between two deserving candidates. A third deserved it as well because value he brought to this situation was immense. So that's not true. If there was a case for May to be MVP and you would have voted for him, then you did rob May of an MVP season. Now, I'm not saying that's true, but someone's vote altered the fluctuation. If everybody voted for the top two candidates, we would know who the true MVP was. But someone cast their vote for a nobody, and it doesn't mean anything.
I get the logic. Like, if that is your opinion, you believe that Justin Herbert is the most valuable player, then okay. But you also know, like you consciously know in that moment that you are essentially wasting your vote, right? It's like voting for the third-party presidential candidate that everybody knows is not going to be part of the race. I don't know. But Matt Stafford deserving, thankfully, I think the correct outcome happened here.
And for what it's worth, Sam is a very smart guy.
Oh, for sure.
Sam has great coverage.
He does great work.
Like, I'm not trying to denigrate him. And he also has a vote for this, so he obviously knows what he's talking about. But maybe just he gets tied up in semantics sometimes. Like, he was passionate that Herbert was the most valuable player to his team, so he's got a vote. He gets to put out however he wants to.
But perhaps bigger news than Matthew Stafford winning MVP, that Matthew Stafford will play for the LA Rams in 2026. He, during his acceptance speech, went ahead and revealed his plans for the upcoming season, which were slightly in question after the NFC Championship loss against the Seattle Seahawks. Robert, can we hear from Matthew Stafford?
I'm so happy to have you at the games on the sideline with me, and I can't wait for you to cheer me on next year when we're out there kicking ass. And so I'll see you guys next year. Hopefully I'm not at this event, and we're getting ready for another game in SoFi. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Surely he communicated that, right? I saw a video of Les Snead on vacation, watching on his phone and fist pumping as his quarterback announces his return. Kyron Williams is going nuts in the crowd.
He got the good chuckle going.
Sean McVay is cheesing. He's got the biggest smile on his face. Surely Matthew communicated that, right, to some players and coaches of the Rams. I don't know. Maybe that would have been cool to unveil it up there. But he will come back. Should be surprising to no one. At 37 years old, coming off his first career MVP, Matthew Stafford is playing like he's at the peak of his powers. When's the last time you saw a quarterback at his level ride off into the sunset in a moment like that? Understanding the age, but take the age out of the equation and just simply in the way that he's playing, right? Andrew Luck being such a unique example.
Like leaving at the peak of their powers,
Yeah,
like a friend.
Yes.
Like we're, you know what? We're going to leave on top.
Right. Matthew Stafford led the league in passing and threw for 46 touchdowns and 1 MVP. I know he's 37, but it's hard for me not to say he is at the peak of Matthew Stafford right now, right? And it's okay. We've seen that. You don't have to be in your 20s to be in your prime as a quarterback. We've learned that by now in this generation. You just don't see it happen. So I think we all would have been pretty shocked if Matthew Stafford did indeed hang it up after winning MVP and still very much being in a Super Bowl window with the Rams.
Because Peyton Manning was the antithesis of that. Like, his body was failing him, like actively deteriorating in front of us. The dude couldn't throw a pass over 10 yards in that Super Bowl.
Limping across the finish line. So Myles Garrett runs away with Defensive Player of the Year, and rightfully so. Nobody will object to that. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the NFL's lead receiver, the Offensive Player of the Year. I really thought this might go to Christian McCaffrey. Maybe it would have if he had just been able to crack the 1,000-yard rushing, 1,000-yard receiving season. He came up just short, but Smith-Njigba takes Offensive Player of the Year. Ted McMillan, your Offensive Rookie of the Year. Were you at all surprised that the Panthers' rookie wide receiver was named OROY, as Tyler Shuck took home the Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Year, which is a fan vote, but McMillan wins the AP vote.
I think that is the only preseason prediction when we did those that I got correct. That's the only thing that I nailed. Everything else I was...
You got Ted McMillan as Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I was so off base and wrong about everything else, so I will hang my hat on Ted McMillan. Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that came out pre-draft about him, about questioning his love of football and all that stuff, he ended up going to a place that could really use a guy like that, especially after Xavier Legette kind of failed to reach expectations of a first-round pick the year prior. So, yeah, I always had big expectations for Ted, but, you know, he kind of surpassed all of those. But you mentioned JSN winning Offensive Player of the Year, which is kind of like the non-quarterback MVP now. Like, if you're a good running back or wide receiver or tight end, you would win that versus the MVP. But I think a lot of that's on the back of his new nickname. Did you hear this from Super Bowl Radio Row? Someone approached him with a new nickname, and I think he's going to adopt it.
Okay.
Jackson, do you have any nicknames in the locker room? And if not, may I recommend one?
You can recommend one.
The Emerald City Route Artist.
Nice. That's very nice. It's long, but it's nice.
It's a little. We can shorten it to ECRA.
That was very nice of Jackson Smith and Jigba. That interaction tells me that JSN is a very kind human being.
Yeah, you can pitch one. It's okay, buddy. The Emerald City Round Artist is like, okay, well, we can shorten it to, God, I've got to do it in my head. Emerald City ECRA. So JSN ECRA. That's just what we'll call him. Just basically make a new name out of new letters. Just like how would you even say that?
He sounds like a parent, like trying to halfway compliment his kid's drawing. Like, look what I drew, Mommy. It's very nice, honey.
Yes,
it's
let's
very
put
good.
that on the fridge.
Yeah.
Yes, right above the ice maker. Great job, Emerald City Route Artist.
Well-deserved, though. JSN just has inserted himself into the discussion as one of, if not the best receiver in the NFL this season. 1,793 yards, set a franchise record for the Seahawks, 10 touchdowns, finished second among all players in yards per target. And obviously a first-team All-Pro, and we'll see him play again on Sunday in Super Bowl 60. Carson Schlesinger, unsurprisingly, the Browns linebacker, the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Christian McCaffrey does end up getting an award. He takes home the Comeback Player of the Year. Joe Thuney, the Bears guard, the Protector of the Year. And Walter Payton Man of the Year goes to Bobby Wagner. So, congrats to all the winners.
I was a little surprised James Pierce didn't end up higher in this Rookie Defensive Player of the Year.
Do you have the voting?
I don't, but I think he got one vote. Either him or Xavier Watts. Watts had 2, Pierce had 1. Pierce finished with 10.5 sacks. His sack totals over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks of the seasons. 2 sacks. 0 sacks, half a sack, 2 sack, 1 sack, 1 sack, 1.5, 1. He contributed in every single game over the second half of the season. Like, I understand Carsinger. I just made his entire name. That's his new nickname, Car Soldier. I understand that he was kind of a rookie phenom, and deservedly so, but I just couldn't believe that Pierce didn't get more votes. I feel like people log jammed this late November and were like, yep, that's the guy.
Yeah. There is news, by the way. Speaking of the Browns, the man who coached Carson Schlesinger this season, Browns defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, several reports are stating that Schwartz has officially informed the Browns that he is leaving the organization. He is stepping down. He has submitted his resignation as the defensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns, and he will not be in Cleveland in 2026. NFL Network reported it first. Adam Schefter says he is now likely to sit out this season. So if you missed out on that drama, Jim Schwartz was very much a finalist for the Browns head coaching job, obviously has been the defensive coordinator there for a number of years. The job goes to Todd Monken, the Ravens offensive coordinator. Jim Schwartz, reportedly furious at not being named the head coach, says his goodbyes to everyone in the building. And in the last few days, the Browns have been trying to pick up the pieces and repair the relationship, essentially, to try and keep Jim Schwartz as the defensive play caller to partner him with Todd Monken. But, Robert, when Todd Monken is at the podium at his introductory press conference and he's being asked about Jim Schwartz, it's hard to think that there was any sort of comeback in the cards when this is one of the responses from the Browns' new head coach.
My anticipation is we're not going to change the system. Very difficult to go against. I'm not planning on changing the system. We're built for the system that they're in. currently. And I'm not going to get into staffing because that's not at this time to get into that. But they can be rest assured that we're going to keep the same system. We're still going to let them attack. We're still going to let them play free. I can't see any other way. They're a big reason why I took this job. The defensive players. I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz. I have a lot of respect for Jim Schwartz, but as I would hope he has for me. But I took it because of the players that are here, the ownership, Andrew Berry, and the ability to build this roster from the ground up on the offensive side. So, and I said this to the other guys. I didn't think I'd say it, but I'm going to say it. When I was preparing for the Cleveland Browns, I wasn't trying to chip Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett.
Mic drop.
Yeah, at that point, you're like, no, this ain't happening.
Am I crazy, dude? And this is probably just a little bit of purple tinted glasses for me, but I love this dude. I love the way he talks. I love that he doesn't sound like he's like BSing anybody up there. Like he's giving you like a certain degree of coach speak, but he's also being very real with you. Like the fact of, I didn't know if I was going to say it, but I'm going to say it. I wasn't chipping Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett. Like I didn't come here for Jim. I came here to coach these players. Like Monken just strikes me as an old school, like Greg Williams. No bleep, I got a lozenge. Like he's gonna get in these dudes' ass. Like if it ends up working, it will be because of Monken. It definitely won't be because of anything else going on.
Oh, sure.
In Cleveland.
I never hated the hire for the Browns. I've been surprised Todd Monken hasn't gotten a head coaching job earlier, to be honest. And I don't know if it's because we've been in this phase in the NFL of the rising stars, the young up-and-coming, the LaFleurs and McVays and Shanahans of the world. And this coaching cycle with 10 jobs and coaches of all sorts of different profiles getting jobs, defensive-minded, offensive-minded, veteran coaches like Monken, young coaches like Kubiak, we've broken away a little bit from that. And the numbers will show you this has been as defensive a year in the NFL as we have had in a long time. Just straight up in points per game and margin of victory and things like that. I never hated the hire to begin with, but the whole thing just did reek of the Browns thinking they could toe this line and what's the saying, right? Bake their cake and eat it too? Is that what it is?
Have their cake
and eat it. Well,
you want to have your cake and eat it too. Maybe
okay.
Bake your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, but if you bake the cake, you should be able to eat it. So yeah.
I don't think I've ever baked a cake for myself. I feel like I've only baked cakes for other people. But this is a unique opportunity for him to kind of galvanize that team and forward them into the new way of thinking. It's like, hey, this Schwartz dude didn't want to be here with you guys unless he could be the general. He didn't want to be y'all's lieutenant. He wanted to be the head dog. But newsflash, I'm the head dog. I'm here to lead you guys. Like, this is an opportunity for him to just win over the entire locker room from day one.
Yeah. So we can do both. We can think Todd Monken could very well work out. Todd Monken's a respected offensive mind, and he could do some good things in Cleveland, but we can also point and laugh at the Browns for thinking that they would be able to pull off this Monken-Schwartz partnership and having that part of it blow up in their face. But they do still have that personnel. It is, outside of Myles Garrett, a pretty solid foundation, a pretty solid talent profile on the defensive side of the ball. You have the defensive rookie of the year. There are parts and pieces there. So Todd Monken's going to go out and hire a defensive coordinator. And Jim Schwartz, like we said, according to Adam Schefter, may sit out in 2026.
Ari Myrov put this out last night, and it's kind of hard to think about. The Browns over the last 3 years have had Defensive Player of the Year twice, Defensive Rookie of the Year last night, Coach of the Year, Assistant Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and Joe Flacco. Like, the number of awards versus how much winning they've had, like, it's just crazy.
It has been. I mean, has that been one of the, the Jets? It's a wild ride to be a Jets fan, but it's also the results don't really change, right? You just lose. All you do is lose. The Browns do a lot of losing, but the last few years in particular, it's been a wild ride to be a Browns fan with the Baker season of getting them back to the playoffs, winning that playoff game in 2020, to bottoming out and then getting back into the playoffs with Joe Flacco, Coach of the Year, and then bottoming out again. And now here you are with another coaching search. And Myles Garrett having the historic season he had amidst all the losses. Has there been a drunker roller coaster of a ride for a fan base in the NFL, let's just say in the last 6 years, 7 years, than to be a Browns fan.
And they're still holding on, dude. That's why I have more respect for Browns fans than I do for the organization, because the fact of just hanging in there, kind of like the Lions. The Lions waited so long to have a competent team. Like, when the Browns finally do have a competent team, that place will be insane to go to a game to.
Yeah, no doubt. 615-737-1045. We do have this Hall of Fame class to get to. We will get to that coming up in the next hour. We'll hear from Coach Mack about it. Some very prestigious names being inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame class of 2026. But big hoops weekend and bit of a newsy day for a certain highly publicized case in the Southeastern Conference. We'll do the SEC stat of the day coming up next. Big weekend of hoops in the Southeastern Conference as the fight at the top of the conference starts to intensify a little bit. Getting into the month of February, Tennessee and Kentucky renew their rivalry at Rupp Arena tomorrow night. 7:30 is the tip-off. Vol Network coverage right here on The Zone begins at 7 p.m. with Mike Keith, the voice of the Vols. So Tennessee, about 3 weeks ago, collapsed, built a 17-point lead over Kentucky in the first half, and it went downhill from there. Turnover-riddled second half, one of the worst second halves, if not the worst, that Tennessee has played all year, led to a dramatic Kentucky comeback and a heartbreaking win for Tennessee. And what, if the Vols had closed out, would have been part of a 6-game win streak, what is now a 4-game win streak for the Vols, who do seem like they're closer to being the best version of themselves. Certainly Nate Ament closer to being the best version of himself here in the last few games. But Tennessee at Kentucky tomorrow. Rick Barnes, 12-13 in his Tennessee career against the Kentucky Wildcats. He is 4-4 in his last 8 at Rupp Arena. So Barnes has had more success against the Cats, certainly in Lexington, than just about any Tennessee coach in the modern era. The Vols currently 6-3 in SEC play. Kentucky 7-3 in SEC play. Texas A&M and Florida lead the league at 7-2 in conference action. So huge opportunity for Tennessee to continue some momentum, to continue this ascension with Nate Ament, and to win a 5th consecutive game, avenge that loss in Knoxville a few weeks ago. So Tennessee, the biggest problems the Vols were running into through the first portion of SEC play, coughing up the basketball, turnovers. Average 10.7 turnovers per game. 12. Got this all over the place, Robert. Averaged 13.5 turnovers per game in their first 6 SEC games. In their last 3, that's down to 10.7. They had 12 turnovers in the Kentucky game, the majority of those in that second half collapse. So Tennessee starting to take care of the basketball better, starting to find some more consistent scoring from Nate Ament, and now have the task of going up and doing it at Upper Rupp Arena. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt is back home, number 15 team in the country. The Commodores sitting at 6-3 in SEC play, and they host an Oklahoma team that is dead last, that has had an awful season, that has only 1 conference win, so a huge opportunity for Vanderbilt to get on the winning side at home this weekend. But probably the news of the day in the SEC is the case of Alabama center Charles Bediako, which we have talked a lot about on this show. Bediako has a hearing today about his eligibility at Alabama. For those who, I suppose, haven't kept up with the day-to-day of this situation, Bediako, the Alabama player that played for Nate Oates for 2 years before declaring for the NBA draft in 2023, went undrafted, played a few years in the G League, and now is trying his hand to come back to college, was granted a temporary restraining order by a local judge that just so happened to be an Alabama graduate and a donor to the University of Alabama. The NCAA had said judge recuse himself due to the very obvious conflict of interest. That judge was replaced, and now an injunction hearing is happening today. Meanwhile, Greg Sankey finally has weighed in on the situation, because we have the Chambliss thing happening at Ole Miss as he is looking for another year of eligibility. Obviously, Joey Aguilar is looking to do the same with an injunction hearing set now for next Friday in Knox County, looking for another year at Tennessee. And, of course, the Charles Bediako situation. And everybody's wondering, where's Greg Sankey in all of this? Where's Greg Sankey as Ole Miss is being accused and Clemson is showing receipts of brazen, obvious tampering by Pete Golding and his staff? Where is Greg Sankey as Charles Bediako pushes the boundaries of eligibility certainly further than almost anybody would like to see them pushed, unless you're an Alabama fan that could use a 7-foot center? Sankey finally has spoken here, and he has actually been included on the affidavit. Sankey is now officially a part of this case with this quote. Robert, have you seen this quote yet from Greg Sankey?
I haven't.
So do you think, before I read it, that Greg Sankey is in support of Alabama bending every rule they can, taking advantage of this mess that we're in college sports to get Charles Bediako back eligible? Or do you think Greg Sankey is saying, no, enough is enough, we have to stand with NCAA eligibility rules on this. Where do you think, before I read the quote?
I think the statement is somewhat ambiguous. Maybe he is leading teams need to do what they need to do. Something that does not completely convict Alabama in doing wrongdoing, but still saves face as they are an SEC poster child. I think he straddles the middle.
He is not.
Oh.
He's going against Alabama here.
Wow. Look at Greg Sankey upholding justice.
He has filed an affidavit against Charles Bediako's eligibility. And here's the quote from Sankey. I respectfully ask the court to uphold the NCAA eligibility rules challenged in this case, which are essential to the integrity of college sports, to the educational mission they serve, and to the opportunities they provide for current and future student athletes.
Oh, okay. I'm glad he feels that way. Now, I wonder how he feels about Ole Miss tampering with Clemson, because when he was asked to comment on that, I don't think we got a fair shake about how he and Jim Phillips with the ACC, I don't know if they had a meeting of the minds to figure out, what's the right way to correct this? Because your teams keep pillaging people. If you're really worried about justice and how things should be upheld and the integrity of our league, time to get your feet wet. Can't just be you guys cheating.
I have not heard him speak on the tampering allegations against Ole Miss.
I bet not.
But
okay. Hey, it affects other teams in our league. No more Bediako. Send that guy Bacchiaco to the G League. Get him out of here. But if it comes to football, those guys are allowed to cheat.
I feel for Charles Bediako. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I feel like Charles Bediako in this situation, maybe I'm being too sympathetic because this is a player that did make the decision to declare for the NBA draft, a decision that obviously did not work in his favor. He could have stayed then. He chose not to. So as we're talking about the have your cake and eat it too saying, bake your cake, have it, eat it, whatever it is. Charles Bediako is trying to do both, right? He's trying to say, no, I get to leave the college game, what is universally thought of as an irreversible decision, but I also get to come back when it doesn't work out for me, when that decision doesn't pan out. But imagine being Bediako and whatever NIL figure he's getting at Alabama now, and then being told today at this hearing, no, back to the G League you go to make your $30,000 a year or whatever it is he's making at that level. So I'm sure this is a pretty big day for Charles Bediako.
I mean, I don't feel bad for him. Are you familiar with the Rodney Dangerfield Back to School movie? His son's going to college. He's like,
no.
I think I'm going to go with you. Rodney Dangerfield goes back to college as like a 60-year-old man. He's hanging out in the co-ed dorms, hitting on all the hot sorority girls. Like, that's what I envision Bediako's doing. He's like, I got a game tonight, guys. I can't come out and hit on all the fine college women. I'm going to be unavailable, but I will be back with you guys, you stallions, on the weekend. I can't believe you've never seen Back to School.
No.
Incredible movie.
When you say Back to School, I think of the song that Adam Sandler
Back
sings.
to school,
that's what comes to mind.
Prove to Dad I am not a fool.
Nick Kelly of AL.com is reporting on this in real time. 6 minutes ago, he tweeted, the court just broke in the Bediako hearing. A Tuscaloosa judge will rule soon on his request for a preliminary injunction to allow him to play for Alabama basketball. So there is a big gaggle of reporters that I'm seeing on Nick Kelly's timeline that are just crowded outside of this door waiting for Charles Bediako to leave the courtroom. Greg Sankey says, nope, this has gone too far, and we'll see. This is still a Tuscaloosa judge. It's not a judge that is a donor to the university or has a wife that has represented Alabama players in certain legal situations of note in recent years, but it is still a local judge.
What about their kids? Do their kids go to Alabama?
I haven't done the research on said judge, so I'm not sure.
Spoken like a classic SECer right there. I haven't really looked into it that deeply. Somebody should.
Well, and just to kind of throw a cherry on top of this whole situation.
Of the cake we've been baking.
Exactly. However this pans out, whether or not Bediako is eligible, Alabama is at Auburn tomorrow, its most hated rival. So the fans down on the plains, the student section at Auburn will have something prepared for that basketball team, whether or not Charles Bediako is on the floor. 3 p.m. is the tip-off at Neville Arena tomorrow in what will be an interesting environment on ESPN2. So we will keep you updated on that. The Charles Bediako case currently developing. And as we said, Joey Aguilar's hearing is right now set for next Friday, the 13th. Is that ominous?
Ooh, I didn't even think about that because I think I'm going to have to take next Friday off to go back home. We're going to be flying. I was like, I do not like flying on Friday the 13th. We're going to be sitting on the runway for 5 hours.
I think there's a few Friday the 13th in 2026. I think there's a handful.
Oh, don't say that.
And next week is the first. Quite a day for Joey Aguilar to potentially learn whether or not he's going to be playing for Tennessee in 2026.
There are three Friday the 13th in 2026.
Oh, wow. First one next Friday. The Patriots and Seahawks have made a little bit of history in their path to the Super Bowl. We will tell you what that is and look at how they got there coming up next.
Nothing worse than a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical emergency. I'm sure many of you have dealt with something like that, given the weather that we've had in the last couple of weeks. Most of the time, you don't know what it will cost or if it'll get fixed correctly, or if someone is just trying to sell you something. That's when you call Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Their experts are going to solve your problems quickly. The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. There's no hidden fees or surprises on your bill. Hiller has been in business for over 35 years and is family-owned and operated. Their techs are professional, experienced, and trustworthy. When they're on their way, you'll receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time. No more wasting time waiting around. 100% satisfaction guaranteed of happy you'll be or the service is free. That is the Happy Hiller promise. So book online today at happyhiller.com.
11:03, good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Down studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. NFL honors were last night in San Francisco, and Mike Vrabel is the NFL Coach of the Year for the second time in his career. Matt Stafford took home MVP. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the Offensive Player of the Year, and Myles Garrett ran away with Defensive Player of the Year. On Sunday, the NFL season comes to an end with Super Bowl 60. Patriots and Seahawks at Levi Stadium. Kickoff set for 5:30. Westwood One coverage of the Super Bowl will start at 11 a.m. right here on The Zone. College hoops this weekend. Tennessee heads to Kentucky tomorrow night. The Vols looking to avenge a loss in Knoxville a few weeks ago. Tip-off is at 7:30. Vol Network coverage begins at 7. And number 15, Vanderbilt, is at Memorial Gym hosting Oklahoma. Tip-off is at 2:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5. The Zone. One game remains in the 2025 NFL season as a champion will be crowned on the West Coast. Super Bowl 60 on Sunday. Patriots and Seahawks. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, your go-to to fuel your watch party for the game this weekend. Buck has called out sick, so Robert and myself are holding it down with you until 1 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Also on 1045 The Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Coach Mack will be coming up to preview the Super Bowl matchup in a few minutes. But as we look at how both of these teams got to where they are, a little bit of history made that we will get to here in just a moment. But Robert, you and I are going to the same Super Bowl function on Sunday. Do you already know what fare you plan to bring?
I was left a wide palette to choose from because not a lot of dishes were selected. But generally, when I'm going to a Super Bowl party, I like to bring a
cake,
some sort of medley, whether that could be I like to make like a bean dip. Yeah, I've brought it to your functions before, like beans, bell peppers, all that kind of stuff mixed together, or a cheesy dip. And then I also like to bring a charcuterie of some sort, so a spread. So some meats, cheeses, what have you. So because the way I eat, I'm a grazer at Super Bowl parties.
Oh, it's, yeah.
I don't go in there to be like, oh, let me Golden Corral my plate up and pile this up a mile high. Like, I'm going to get a little bit of this, a little bit of this. I'm going to nosh on this, and then I'm going to go back and get some pieces and parcels of what I liked from the first path. So I like to provide that because that's what I like to eat. Now, I'm curious what you're going to bring because I am not going to be outdone by you. So if you're going to bring something super fancy, then I'm going to have to bring some hot dog puff pastry extravaganza just to one-up you.
Oh, well, then you're out of luck.
Oh, no.
Because
what have you have planned, you deviant? You you chef deviant, you.
I'm just going to be ordering a bucket of Hattie B's Hot Chicken.
Ah, that's so tough to beat.
You can't beat that.
I can't beat that.
HattieB.com is where you can do so. The Hattie B's app as well. Big old bucket of crispy jumbo chicken wings. Hot or not, you decide. Maybe a quart or two of those Hattie B's sides. Some crinkle cut fries. Pimento mac and cheese. Whatever it might be. Yet nobody can, at a Super Bowl party with a legitimately good spread, you can't just fill up your plate and then have a meal and then just be done, right? For what amounts to a 4-hour football game. Like, that's an impossible thing to do. So we'll be grazing for 4 quarters. We'll be enjoying some Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Hope you do, too, for this big game Sunday. The Patriots and Seahawks are the first team since 2003. Or let me rephrase. Super Bowl 60 is the first Super Bowl since 2003 that includes 2 teams that missed the playoffs the year prior in the Patriots and the Seahawks. And it's taken until the last couple of days here before the game to really take a step back and look at how both of these teams got here. and it being kind of unique to what we've seen over the last few years, where the Chiefs have constantly been in the Super Bowl and they're playing the 49ers or they're playing the Eagles seemingly every year, these teams that have had this sort of staying power in the NFL throughout the course of the last 7-10 years. Meanwhile, the Seahawks and Patriots, while obviously having various measures of success in the 21st century, have had these dips and now these quick rises where I love to play this game. We look at where these teams were a year ago from right now, or even a little further ahead, right? A little less than a year ago when we're getting into free agency. What was the discussion between these teams? Obviously, with the Patriots, post Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo is the heir apparent. That goes very poorly in his 1 year. Bob Kraft suddenly sees an opportunity to go get Mike Vrabel. Drake May makes that leap. Josh McDaniels is there, the assistant coach of the year, combined with the head coach of the year. They bring in players that fit that culture, former Titans that fit that culture, like Harold Landry and Jack Gibbons and Robert Spillane. And it has to be said, we haven't discussed it a ton this week, the path that was laid out for the Patriots to get to the Super Bowl was an extremely advantageous one. We can do both, right? We can give the Patriots credit for going undefeated on the road in an NFL season, which is just a remarkable feat, but also take advantage of the fact that in the postseason alone, they were going up against Justin Herbert behind a depleted offensive line, going up against C.J. Stroud, who just had this meltdown at the end of the season, going up against Jarrett Stidham in the snow in Denver in the AFC Championship game. But you can only play the opponents you're presented. They did that, and here they are. So Mike Vrabel very much built that team in his image, and here he is with something that he didn't have really at any point in Tennessee. A young superstar MVP candidate quarterback in his rookie contract that you look down the road and think the Patriots can move on as contenders for the very foreseeable future with Drake May and Josh McDaniels as the pairing. So there's New England. Seattle, Robert, a year ago, let's just say in free agency last year, what was the discussion around the Seahawks? After year one of Mike McDonald, a mediocre season, missed the playoffs, and then in free agency, the Seahawks make a ton of changes in the post-Pete Carroll era, which was a seismic move in and of itself, the way the Seahawks kind of gracefully kissed Pete Carroll on the forehead and, you know, had him a little bit involved in the front office and then move on to Mike McDonald. What was your opinion of the Seahawks and the moves they made in free agency last year when they're bringing in Sam Darnold, cutting ties with Geno Smith, trying to repair an offensive line, and going about the offseason the way they did?
Oh, it was really like the conversation about the Titans the year they spent all of that money in the free agency. We're not rebuilding. We're just retooling or whatever word you want to use.
Oh, yeah, that R word off season. We're rebuild, remodel, retool.
Yes, but we're not rebuilding. This is what the Seahawks were actually doing. They weren't rebuilding. They were just remodeling. They were just adding a little piece here and there. They needed to upgrade their offensive line. They did that with Gray Zabel in the first round. Then they traded up in the second round, grabbing Nick Emmanwori, which they needed on the back end because while their corners are long, strong, and down to get the press on, they weren't forcing as many turnovers as you would have liked them to. So adding a Swiss Army knife, someone that would be a Kyle Hamilton to Mike McDonald's defense, was super necessary for them. And again, traded up with the Titans, got Nick Emmanwori. He slid in as their nickel back, their big nickel, if you will, and started pretty fluently. But fixing their two biggest issues with their number 1 and 2 draft picks was a huge step because then you go to free agency and they kind of mirrored what the Patriots did. A lot of spot one-year deals outside of Sam Darnold, adding things to kind of what was going on defense, fixing what wasn't working, and kind of just repairing another R word, what was working but not to full optimism. And their defense to this year just started humming, shutting people down. So I think that they both went about their offense or their offseason differently, but both got similar results as they're both in the Super Bowl.
I remember a lot of the discourse around Seattle signing Sam Darnold, right? That's the marquee move of the offseason for Seattle, giving him that deal, something Minnesota did not want to do despite winning 14 games with him in 2024. And I remember, you tell me if you feel like you observed this differently, but I remember the Darnold move in Seattle being met with kind of like, okay, Worse offensive line situation. Again, this is pre-draft where they did a lot to address that. No more Justin Jefferson. DK Metcalf's out of there.
Right.
We didn't know.
DK exacerbated that, where it's like, who is he going to throw through besides JSN? JSN was only open because there's two guys there.
And JSN certainly was not, we didn't know he was going to emerge to be what he has been all season. JSN was just a good, productive player last year, speaking of the 2024 season. But I remember the Darnold signing in Seattle, putting their chips in there, kind of being when does this ever really work, right? He downgrades situations. Does he downgrade offensive play caller? I don't know about this. And here they are.
And it didn't even get much better when they added Cooper Kupp, because everyone's like, well, that's still a question mark. He's older. He's not as good as DK. He can't be what you need him to be. And he filled in that role nicely as well.
It's just been one of the, I don't want to say the more memorable postseasons in recent memory, but one of the more unique ones, right? I mean, we've hammered, just beaten that dead horse into oblivion. The lack of just A-list star AFC quarterbacks that missed this postseason, right? The lack of Lamar and Mahomes and Joe Burrow. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but it has made for a postseason that has just kind of felt, I don't know, it's kind of felt unusual, right? It's kind of felt like this postseason is a bit of an outlier in this era that we're in, where we're just accustomed to who's going to beat the Chiefs, if anybody, on the AFC side, and who outside of Philly and San Francisco is going to emerge on the NFC side. And maybe the LA Rams, if you want to throw them in there as well. And then this postseason has been kind of an anomaly in that way, and I think most people enjoy that. And here are the Patriots and Seahawks, who met about a decade ago in the Super Bowl, making some history as the first Super Bowl since 2003, with two teams that missed playoffs the year prior. So let's get into that matchup a little bit deeper with Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio coming up next. That music hits a little bit differently when it's the last one of the football season, but fear not, there is, of course, draft season coming up, the NFL Scouting Combine. There will be much to discuss with Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio, presented by Two Rivers Ford in the coming weeks and months. But this is the final time, Coach Mack, that we speak to you before an NFL football game, as it always flies by ahead of Super Bowl 60. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I always enjoy visiting with you guys. I understand Buck's not there today, which is fine. We'll get along just fine. And Bert just told me he's going to his first combine, so he's fired up for that. I'm fired up for him.
Coach, I don't know if I've ever seen Robert more excited about something. This is somebody that, like, his spirits will go through the roof when a new episode of Traders comes out. But the excitement level Robert has for being in Indy for the combine, do you have any preliminary words of advice for Robert before his first combine?
You know what? I think the combine, that whole scenario, I mean, I've been to every one of them since they started, and knowing Bert, it's right up his alley. He'll be in heaven.
No doubt, no doubt. That's what Buck's not prepared for, is Robert fitting into the combine far better than Buck does. But he is not with us today, as you said. The Patriots and Seahawks playing one final game this Sunday, Coach, and we were speaking about it earlier, just the path that both of these teams have taken to Super Bowl 60. First time since 2003, you have two teams in the Super Bowl that missed the playoffs the year prior. Mike Vrabel obviously wins Coach of the Year last night at NFL Honors. Mike McDonald, very much a contender for that award as well. What can you say about the job that both of these have done in different ways, right? Vrabel in his second stop, McDonald in only his second year as a head coach to make it this far.
Well, I think that they and their organizations have done a really good job of retooling their teams. I mean, you know, because as you said, neither one of these teams were in the playoffs last year. They did quite a bit of work in the off season. You know, when they took it over, now McDonald is in his second year, but Vrabel had the advantage of having been a head coach before and knowing what he wanted to do. Plus, he was going back to very, very familiar grounds. But I think both of the head coaches, and again, with their organization and with the people that were involved in their procurement of talent, that was extremely important, because they both of them in different ways reworked their rosters, but they reworked them in a pretty intelligent way. And both of them, the one thing that they did do is get competent quarterbacks, and then were able to build around that. And to me, I mean, I think they you know, it doesn't really matter how you get there. If you get there in this league with 17 weeks, it's hard. So much kudos to both of those guys and their organizations for what they did and where they are.
Coach Mack of Titans Radio, presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. We were talking about this yesterday with Greg Cosell. He did not know this, Coach, but we just figured it out this week that if the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, Mike McDonald will be the first ever defensive play-calling head coach to win a Super Bowl. Does that surprise you at all that would be the case if the Seahawks do win?
Well, I mean, you got to go back in history and find out how many guys were defenses that won the Super Bowl. I mean, it's a finite number anyway. I mean, it's a very special deal when you get there. Does it surprise me? Not really.
Is there a matchup in particular, Coach, that excites you about Patriots Seahawks? An individual matchup, a unit, Drake May against that Seahawks front? What comes to mind as you get ready to sit down and watch this game?
Well, to me, it's New England's defense against this offense that, you know, we've seen both of these teams in person, right? I mean, you guys have seen them up close and in person here, playing the Titans. They both can move the football in different ways. I'm looking forward to watching, see how the defenses are able to counteract, and especially, you know, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, this guy's a dude now. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to seeing how the defenses do. I always focus on the defenses when I watch Super Bowls, and I'm fascinated to see how both of these guys, being top defensive guys in Mike Vrabel and in McDonald, how they are going to try to counterbalance what's going on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, watching Jackson Smith and Jigba go up against Christian Gonzalez, when you talk about individual matchups, it's hard to get much better than that. But for Drake May's purposes, Coach, the defenses the Patriots have seen along the way in the postseason, they haven't had to face the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, right? Guys that are not in the playoffs, but they have had to play some of the fiercest fronts in the NFL, including the Texans and the Broncos, and then they're met with the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. How has this postseason to you maybe prepared Drake May to face that Seattle front with what he's already seen just in the last 2 games?
Well, I was impressed with Drake May when he was here 2 years ago as a rookie. You know, I mean, you could tell that this dude had something to him, and his maturation has been, you know, pretty incredible. But to me, the thing that he's done a decent job of is navigating the offense, and you've got to give Josh McDaniel a lot of credit too. I mean, for being able to bring this guy along.
Coach Dan McGinnis of Titans Radio with us, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Sam Darnold and the season that he's had, the postseason that he has had, how much have you enjoyed watching this redemption arc, Coach, and kind of looking back at what Darnold was as a prospect coming out? What kind of qualities are you seeing him fully display now that were very much at the forefront of the Sam Darnold conversation when he was drafted out of USC?
Yeah, you know, Lucas, he always had the ability, you know, I mean, when he came out, I mean, this guy, you know, was one of the top tier traits guys coming out, but playing quarterback in this league, I mean, how many times have we talked about either on air or just in talking about what it takes is time on task as a quarterback in this league. I mean, you know, people want the instant Pop-Tart success for any quarterback that's taken. It just doesn't happen like that. I just know this. I mean, I know all the years that I've spent in this league as a defensive coach just trying to wreck young quarterbacks. And to me, it's a huge learning curve that they have to have. Now, how quickly some of them can grasp it, but to me, it's important to be at the right place at the right time with the right person, and plus there's some maturity that comes to it too. So that's I always enjoy that because you know me, I'm not an IE, I'm not an instant evaluator guy. I'm keep your powder dry guy, especially with quarterbacks, and give them a chance to soak it all up and soak it all in. And he's the best example of it right now this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's kind of just been this perfect storm with that defense, that special teams unit that's been among the best in the league to get to this point. Seahawks obviously looking for their first Super Bowl since that Legion of Boom defense was leading the way, Coach. A defense that was coordinated by Gus Bradley with Robert Saleh on that staff. And, of course, we learned officially early this week that Gus Bradley will join Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator, understanding Saleh will still call the plays as the head coach of the Titans. What did you like about that move, Bradley and Saleh reuniting, and what you have seen up close and personal with Gus Bradley coached defenses over the years?
Well, I mean, I've coached against Gus, you know, quite a bit. The thing that I like about this whole new staff that they have, first of all, you just look at the years of experience at the leadership positions in this coaching staff. I mean, it's a stark contrast. I mean, it's huge. I mean, you've got a very qualified head coach, you know, that's been in the league a while, not only as a head coach, but as a really good defensive coach. I mean, Gus Bradley is one of the better defensive coaches in the league as a linebacker coach coming up, and then as a coordinator, and then, I mean, we all know what Bones Fossil is. I've worked with Bones for 6 years. I know what he is. So in your leadership spot in all three phases of the game, all of a sudden you've got massive experience, and just like in playing, you can't manufacture that experience. And with that experience comes a lot of wisdom. And to me, especially, and then now paired with what they're getting ready to start doing, you know, with Mike Borgonzi and his group, I'm looking forward to this.
Coach Mack of Titans Radio with us. Coach, this Hall of Fame class that was unveiled last night at NFL Honors, one of the headliners, I suppose, when you look at a guy like Luke Kuechly, less than a decade in this league, 5 All-Pros, to have that small of a sample size of a career, but it be so jam-packed with being an elite player at his position. As a longtime linebackers coach, how do you sum up Luke Kuechly's career as he gets ready to go into the Hall of Fame?
You know, I remember doing Luke Kuechly coming out in the draft, and the one thing that just stood out to me in that vetting and then during that process, he is just uber. I mean, you talk about an instinctive linebacker. He did the little things that sometimes it takes you a while to learn how to do in this league. He had those, you know, coming out of college. I mean, the guy was a consummate leader from the middle of that defense. I mean, you could tell that he had a grasp of it very, very early. And, you know, I've coached a lot of middle linebackers in my life, and the one thing that you have to be able to do is you have to be down in and down out, dependable to get everybody else fixed up. And then you have to be able to go take care of your business too. Luke Kuechly was one of the smarter linebackers to ever come into the league, just immediately, very, very mature when he came into the league. And his career, as you said, you know, even though it was a shorter career, I mean, you knew his presence on the field immediately. I mean, I was always very impressed with his game behind the line, always.
Yeah, 8 seasons, all with the same team. Incredible career getting him into the Hall of Fame in the class of 2026. Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Coach, enjoy the game on Sunday. We appreciate you as always. Look forward to catching up next week.
Lucas, always a pleasure. You guys have a good Super Bowl weekend. See ya.
Same to you, Coach Mack of Titans Radio, with us on 104.5 The Zone. So Luke Kuechly, Larry Fitzgerald, Adam Vinatieri, Roger Craig, and Drew Brees, your Hall of Fame class of 2026.
My favorite part of any of those Hall of Fame announcements are always the videos of how they're being told. Like, what's that Andre the Giant looking dude's name that comes and knocks on their doors? Is it even him anymore that does it?
It's going to, yeah, I think it is. It's going to kill me. Who of these is it 5 or 6? Am I crazy?
It is 5.
It's 5. Of these 5, did anybody surprise you?
Not surprise me. No, I felt like all of these guys should have went in. Like, a lot of people were making a stink about Eli being snubbed again. I don't think that's a big thing. Ravens fans, because I'm on that Twitter, were like, Marshall Yanda and Terrell Suggs should go in. They're going to go in.
David Baker.
Is it still him? Is it still that giant dude?
He's the former president and CEO of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
They just shipped him off. They said, send your big ass to the grocery store.
Through 2021.
Dang, he ain't been there for a minute.
Yeah. So, Julius Peppers revealing it to Luke Kuechly was really cool.
So good, man. So good. And Peppers is, like, loved in North Carolina, not just because of his time with the Panthers and going back there at the end of his career, but did you know he also played basketball at UNC? Yeah. He was a 2-sport athlete. So he's got the dual-pronged love of North Carolina. He was a UNC basketball player, played football at UNC, took a bunch of fake classes, but we're not going to talk about that. But just him giving it to Luke was a great touch.
I mean, how special do you have to be to play less than a decade, right? 8 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, with the Panthers? 8 seasons.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Over 1,000 tackles. How special do you have to be to play 8 seasons, not win a Super Bowl, and get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this off the top, but the second youngest inductee into the Hall of Fame in NFL Hall of Fame history.
Who's the first?
Gale Sayers at 34.
Wow.
So at 35, you get to live the entire life that you've lived. If you get to live the average American lifespan, you get to live the second half of your life and some change as an NFL Hall of Famer. So many of these guys go in the Hall of Fame and they walk up there and they're battered and bruised and broken and their fingers are gnarled and they might not be able to walk that well. Can you imagine getting to live your whole life? You're 35, your whole life's ahead of you. And every door you walk in, every person you talk to, everybody you meet, when they shake your hands, they're shaking the hand of an NFL Hall of Famer. That is crazy to me. And also makes me feel like I have accomplished nothing. Nothing in my life. If you would have just tried hard once and then snowballed that, maybe you too could have been a senior operator at Verizon.
34. He's 34.
Oh, hold on now.
He turns 35 in April.
Hold on now, then. Buddy, let me figure out what stat I saw.
It is infuriating, isn't it? 34 years old to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. I mean, it's crazy. The amount of players older than Luke Kuechly that are still playing. The amount of
Luke will be 35 when he is officially inducted.
When he's officially inducted. Okay.
Yeah. So who was it? Somebody in the chat, or was that you trying to get me?
That was me.
Oh, you were trying to railroad me, just sidecar me right there. I knew that I had the stat right.
615-737-1045. Yeah, man. 8 years. It's like the Terrell Davis discussion, right? Even more so with Terrell Davis. You're talking about a guy that played 7 years, really only played 4 years at an elite level, but won 2 Super Bowls, back-to-back Super Bowls, a 2,000-yard rusher on the way to one of those Super Bowls. I don't know that you can find a more condensed run of elite NFL individual play than Terrell Davis, right? When you're just looking at people in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But Luke Kuechly is right there. 8 years as the best linebacker in the NFL, deservedly getting in.
And if you have any question of whether he was in the conversation of it, go through his awards. As a rookie, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and then second year, All-Pro. Third year, All-Pro. Fourth year, All-Pro. The only times that he was a second-team All-Pro were 2016, the year they went to the stinking Super Bowl, and the final year of his career. And then he still made the All-Pro list. He was just second team. He's been on the list every year he played in the NFL aside from his rookie year.
It's insane. Good. Happy to see Adam Vinatieri get into, by the way. Adam Vinatieri absolutely belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I bet Brett Kern was happy to see that. Happy to see that a specialist get in. But talking about the most points in NFL history, shoe in for sure. 615-737-1045. Nate in Omaha is up first today. Hey, Nate.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The Hall of Fame lost a lot of credibility, man. How Bill Belichick ain't in the Hall of Fame? How Robert Kraft ain't in the Hall of Fame? You know, it's just a popularity contest, man. I mean, I'm happy for Luke Kuechly. He was a good player. I mean, he wasn't better than Keith Bulluck. Keith Bulluck was just as good as him, man. You know what I mean? He might not have the All Pros behind his name, but. Yeah, man, the Hall of Fame is a joke, man. Bill Belichick should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. And thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks for the call, Nate. Look, it wasn't a good look for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, obviously, to not have Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft as first ballot Hall of Famers. I'm not going to get into comparing the careers of Keith Bulluck and Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly is a Hall of Famer, bona fide. There should be no discussions about Luke Kuechly not being deserving to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I am curious because Bill Belichick's going to get in. It's going to keep being talked about, right? Robert Kraft is going to get in at some point. Yes, they should have been first ballot Hall of Famers. Yes, there are flaws somewhere along the way for that to not happen. But I couldn't help but look at the list of 2027 first-time eligibles and wonder, okay, who will that discussion translate over to next year, right? Is there anybody on this list of Rob Gronkowski, Ben Roethlisberger, Adrian Peterson, Richard Sherman, Cam Newton, Antonio Brown?
Okay. If we're going to hold Spygate and massage parlors against Kraft and Belichick, then you're going to have to hold what's all the stuff with AP? Whipped his kid with a switch or something like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like what?
Rob Gronkowski is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer and Bill Belichick is not? That would be the biggest slap in the face. This big doofus that Bill Belichick put in the position to be as good as he was. If he gets to be a first ballot before Bill does? That's ridiculous.
Oh, Lev Bell? Now, this is just making me feel old.
Come on.
This is making me feel old that these guys are actually eligible.
The guys that are on this list are just eligible.
Yes, correct. Right. But is there anybody on this list that there will be a big stink if they're not first ballot. Gronk, Roethlisberger, Peterson, Richard Sherman, Cam Newton, Andrew Whitworth, Eric Weddle.
A big stink?
Yeah.
No. And there shouldn't be.
No, you're right. I'm with you.
Like, maybe Roethlisberger because he's a quarterback, but all of these guys should be slotted in lines behind guys who have been waiting. I don't think any of these guys get ushered to the front of the line because they were – none of these guys on the list were the best at their position for more than 1 to 2 years. Cam Newton, maybe the most prolific rushing quarterback, maybe the most prolific red zone quarterback. Josh Allen may have his milk now, but I wouldn't fight and say that any of these guys were far and away the best at their position for an extended period of time.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in because, Robert, we have what to give away for Friday Fire?
Post Malone tickets. We got a bunch of them.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
What made you smile? The most positive story you have seen this week. It can be in sports. It can be in life. It can be in anything. The best submission is headed to Post Malone. 615. When is the concert?
I believe it is in May, but I'll have to double-check that for you.
615-737-1045. Give us your Friday Fire for a chance to see Post Malone coming up next. Well, Buck's not here. It makes it even more positive. And even better, we have Post Malone tickets to give away to the best submission. 615-737-1045. What made you feel good? What is the most positive story you have seen in sports and life this week? Former Titans punter Brett Kern is in studio to give us his positivity. How's it going, Brett?
What's going on?
Just stumbling all over my words. That's all. We got 20 minutes before the show, we were alerted that Buck is either sick or pretending to be sick because he's so taken by Mike Vrabel's Coach of the Year victory. Maybe that's his Friday Fire.
Maybe. I don't know. Did you confirm this sickness of when he came in?
No, there's been no proof.
No proof.
No. We saw him pull in because we were standing out there on the balcony, shooting the bleep before the show, just whatever. Saw him pull in and then very quickly pull out. So, I don't know. Very suspicious. 615-737-1045. You have by far the best of these submissions. So, Brett Kern.
Well, maybe. We haven't heard anybody call in yet.
That's true. Will you do us the honor of
first one of the year?
Getting us started. It is.
Yeah. Big T, Terrell Williams, is back with the Patriots full-time. I know he was coming in a little bit here and there, I think on Mondays to watch film with the guys and all that kind of stuff. But Big T is cancer-free. And so for him, he is a salted the earth human. And he's just a great guy. He was one of my favorite coaches that I've had just to be around. Obviously, him coaching D-line, I don't, I'm not in any of his meetings or anything like that, but just hearing guys talk about him, conversations that I've had with him, so for him to be cancer-free, man, that's awesome. So I'm happy for him, happy for his family. You can read a couple interviews with the guys talking about how important it is and how happy they are that he's back. And so, Big T, cancer-free.
Kicked cancer's ass. That's so awesome. And for it to happen at this stage,
I know,
during this run, and to be able to rejoin the team right before the Super Bowl.
I thought the line was going to go down from 4.5 to 3.5.
You can't quantify that presence on the sideline for sure. So, that is the winner, the best submission. Certainly, that'll be tough to beat. But the good news for you is Brett Kern is not a candidate to win the Post Malone tickets.
Dang. I already put you in for him. So I was going to tell everybody that called in, appreciate it. But so Brett can't win the tickets.
That's right.
Dang.
Brett's going to have to pay his way. He wants to go see Post Malone.
What are they on StubHub, SeatGeek? What are they?
They're running a pretty penny. They are running a pretty penny.
Is it at Bridgestone or is he doing it at Nissan?
I believe it's I should have that information. Give me 1 second.
He's probably Nissan.
Robert will find
that. It is
that.
at Nissan.
There we go.
June 30th.
Stadium show.
He's like, I don't need tickets. I know the people that own that thing. He's like, I'll just scamper on in there.
Robert, what you got?
What I've got is East Carolina, or should I say Beast Carolina, is so back, baby. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but someone floated the idea that, hey, Mr. Beast throws all this money around, and if you guys weren't aware, his headquarters is in Greenville, North Carolina, which is the exact same place East Carolina is. He's used their facilities for a number of things. And when I was there in radio, you used to see him doing his bits all over town. Like once we were driving a radio van to a remote, and I saw him driving a car exclusively made of Legos. And it's just like, oh, there's Mr. Beast. Hey, we were in the video waving at him. So cool dude, but he's from the area. And someone floated the idea, hey, Mr. Beast should save ECU football and donate $100 million to see if they can win a national championship. Mr. Beast saw this, quote tweeted it, and said, ha, 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 should I do this? Apparently there is a meeting trending to happening between the two next week to decide what kind of involvement Mr. Beast would have in a plan like this. And there's all kind of ramifications of how much money they can actually spend, Title IX, NIL. You can't put it all in one bucket. Everybody needs a little bit of money. But $100 million, is that enough to win a national championship? Can we go out and get all the Charles Bediacos of the world to come play for us, get some grown men?
Get Gardner Minshew. Does he have any eligibility left? Bring him back.
Nope. He broke his hand for the only medical red shirt he could get.
It's true.
So bring anybody we could get. I don't care. But even if he wins us an AAC title and we get in the playoffs, that's enough for me. So Mr. Beast is Beast Carolina is my. It's just too good. It's too easy
to be so wealthy that you can just take a comment like that on social media. Mr. Beast should donate $100 million. Should I do this, guys?
My buddy
Put it to a poll.
if he donates $100 million, but it's a contingent on He is the head coach. Do you do it?
If it gets you Jeremiah Smith for $10 million, absolutely.
I say yes, dude. If he wants to be the head coach, he's going to have people call plays. But if he wants to be the head coach and do press conferences every week, their practices are all the players have to dress up as pirates. He's just making videos with all of the players constantly.
Tyler says he's about to put in his ECU 2026 championship bet.
I can't even imagine what that would pay. Yeah,
get the tat.
Get the tat.
I'm telling you.
My Friday Fire goes to Lindsey Vonn, who tore her ACL a week ago and has completed her first Olympic training runs in Cortina ahead of the Winter Olympics since tearing her ACL and is just flying down the slopes. The women's downhill competition takes place on Sunday, and Lindsey Vonn will participate past the age of 40. Torn ACL, legend, is going to keep it going.
That's crazy.
Badass.
She is insane. Did you guys see her doing squats a week after she tore her ACL?
That's
and
crazy.
not like me doing squats, like legs shaking, like hoping this doesn't fold my
like
body.
3 inches, just a little,
Right,
just like a tiny little bit. Yeah.
Nothing like that. She was doing like booty to her back of her ankles,
All
like
the way
doing
down.
real squats. Like if I tore my ACL, y'all would not see me. I would be in a hospital bed for years.
Buddy, I sprained my ankle and was out of commission for months. Did you ever?
Is this soccer?
It was. Yeah. Beer league soccer. Did you ever tear your ACL in your playing career?
No, the worst I had was sports hernia. So I tore that at Indianapolis warming up. And then I played the rest of the season on it. But that was not an ideal injury to tear one of your ab muscles for a punter.
Not ideal. I would think it's not ideal to tear your ACL as a professional Olympic skier, but
down the slopes at 70 miles an hour?
There she is. Badass. 615-737-1045. The best submission is headed to Post Malone at Nissan Stadium in June. Zach in Chattanooga up first. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Lucas. My Friday Fire is we are a month away from March Madness, and the madness has already started because on Wednesday there was 3 ranked teams that went down to unranked opponents like BYU losing to Oklahoma State, Michigan State losing to Minnesota, and Portland losing to Gonzaga. So that's my Friday Fire.
Thanks for the call, Zach. Can't wait.
Yeah, the madness was apparent. It was just reeking through Zach's body there.
Be sure to stay on hold for your chance to win. If you fall off the line, then you will forfeit your opportunity. Preston in Smyrna is up next. Hey, Preston.
I'm mad Brett took mine, but I'm going to pivot to another feel-good story. Jose Alvarado got traded from the Pelicans to the Knicks. He grew up in Brooklyn, played high school ball at Queens, and publicly spoke about how he wanted to play for them a couple seasons ago. Josh Hart and Brandon Ingram even bought his family tickets for his home debut. Now he's back home, so I like that feel-good story.
Very cool, very cool. Thank you, Preston. Good submission. Jeremy is up next in Lebanon.
I'd just like to start saying cancer sucks. My mother-in-law, she got diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia, but she's doing really good with chemo. That's not my Friday Fire. My Friday Fire is actually earlier this week whenever Buck and them was trying to make fun of you on the M&M scandal. That it was actually Buck's fault is what was said, that he didn't screw the cap on properly. So I feel for you, buddy, but that made me laugh.
Thanks for the call, Jeremy. It was Buck's fault. And maybe that's what's happened. Maybe there's been some sort of retaliation from Ron Slay, the way there was.
He did say he was going to poison you.
In fact, now the 3 of us,
oh boy,
myself, you, and Buck, Robert, have all gotten sick somehow, some way. You got destroyed by food poisoning, norovirus, whatever you had a couple weeks ago.
Oh, don't worry, I gained all the weight back.
I got it back. I got it bad a few weeks prior, and Buck got it today. So this might be all of Slay's doing. And Brett Kern, I don't know if you're next.
I'm out.
Monteslama's revenge.
Don't snack on anything. It's dangerous.
Yeah, y'all don't have any snacks in. That's surprisingly,
Lucas
Buck's
just
not here.
Poured them all on the
I
ground.
did. I spilled them everywhere.
Oh boy.
Chris in Columbia is up next. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
So my Friday Fire is me and my wife had a beautiful baby girl on the 23rd of last month, and unfortunately she had to spend a week in the NICU. She just needed a little help breathing, but we got to take her home this week, and she's happy and healthy, and it's just been a great week.
Oh, amazing.
Congrats.
Amazing. Congrats. Hey, Chris, what's her name?
Thank y'all. Her name?
Yeah.
Sadie Claire.
Say again?
Sadie.
Sadie?
Heck yeah.
Sadie Claire. Yeah.
Sadie Claire. Oh, that's a nice name. Chris, congratulations, man. That is amazing. I'm sure you guys are very, very happy. Scary situation there. Chris gets the tickets, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
when you told me on the phone, I about teared up.
Yeah.
So I love stuff like that when you get a resolution, because there's probably nothing scarier as a parent. Like, please, 10 fingers, 10 toes. Like, don't let nothing be wrong with this baby. And then you get some good news like that. So it made me happy to hear that. Like, we get all kind of good stories, but like great stories like that just tickle me pink, man.
Doesn't get better than that.
Here's another good story. Derek Hall for the Seattle Seahawks. My wife sent me to this morning. He was born premature, 23 weeks old, no heartbeat. He was considered dead at birth. This Sunday, he plays in the Super Bowl for the Seahawks.
We are just swimming in positivity out here. It's always when Buck is gone.
Yeah.
Always. Like, we get the most beautiful tear-jerker stories and submissions when he's not here, I swear.
Hey, I haven't done it all year, and I'm here every time you guys do it, just kind of finishing up prep and all that stuff.
That's
and
what
I got
it is.
two today.
That's what it is.
Hey, and speaking of prep, I've got some props for you. I need to know how Brett Kern feels about some of these props.
You sent me some really good information. Man, you brought it. I mean, you got 2 weeks to prep for the Super Bowl. It's overwhelming. I got a headache for how much stuff you sent me.
All right, this is good. We'll sort through it. Chris in Columbia, you're headed to Post Malone. Thank you, everybody, for the submissions. We will preview Super Bowl 60 with Brett Kern next. 12:03. Good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs, 104.5 The Zone studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. NFL honors were last night in San Francisco, and former Titans coach Mike Vrabel is the NFL Coach of the Year for the second time in his career. Matt Stafford took home MVP and announced he will return in 2026 during his acceptance speech. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Offensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett ran away with Defensive Player of the Year. On Sunday, the NFL season comes to an end with Super Bowl 60. Patriots and Seahawks at Levi Stadium. Kickoff at 5:30. Westwood One coverage of the Super Bowl begins at 11 a.m. right here on The Zone. College basketball, Tennessee is at Kentucky tomorrow night, looking to avenge a loss in Knoxville a few weeks ago. Tip-off is at 7:30. Vol Network coverage starts at 7. And number 15, Vanderbilt at Memorial Gym. They host Oklahoma. Tip-off at 2:30. Oklahoma last place in the SEC. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. One hour remaining, 1 hour left on this show for the 2025 football season. Super Bowl 60 on Sunday, Patriots and Seahawks. Brett Kern is in studio to preview it all, to react to NFL honors last night. Yep. Always flies by. How do you take in the Super Bowl? Actually, how do you take it in post-playing career versus during your playing career? Is there a difference in how you would experience the Super Bowl?
Not really. I mean, I'd watch the Super Bowl when I was playing. It was painful because, especially the year, that 2019 year when we lost to the Chiefs, that was tough.
Where did you take in the Super Bowl that year? Just on your couch?
Yeah, I think just on the couch. But we're hosting a Super Bowl party this year. The wings, pizza, all the good stuff.
Oh, we'll be there. Nice. That's awesome.
Invitation must have got lost.
I don't remember sending you
on that one. But yeah, I mean, I just a lot of times I just root for guys that I know. Obviously, in this case with the Patriots, knowing half that staff and some of the guys, and been helping out Bryce Behringer. He's the punter. Just throughout the season, just helping him out with any questions mentally, any punting questions, stuff like that. So it's been good to see him, put together a good season. And then obviously to be here in the Super Bowl is pretty special. But it's I think there's always something in me that's like, oh man, like just wanted that Super Bowl. And we were close in Philly, obviously to lose to the Chiefs. It's a really fun game to watch. But there's also still like deep down that kind of that pain of yet to win, or we'll never win a Super Bowl. So.
Will guys get together? Like, will players get together and have a Super Bowl party with teammates and families?
They might, yeah. I mean, I remember, I think it was my second year here. Ken Amato, he was a long snapper.
Sure.
We went over to his house, watched the Super Bowl, had some guys over. I went over to Craig Hendrick's house one year to watch it. So, yeah, I mean, it's sometimes you watch it with guys, sometimes you don't. There's some guys that don't even watch it. They don't even want to. They're like, hey, man, the season's done. I don't even want to see what happens with guys in the Super Bowl. So
I would think there's a lot of guys like that. I don't know.
I think there's a lot that are probably they just don't want to watch it, which is understandable. You put together such a long season, whether you're starting in April, then you go through your training camps and obviously the whole season, the grind of a 17 game season, and then if you made the playoffs, it's just. Sometimes you just don't want to watch it, and that's totally understandable. But I always loved watching it for the most part, just because it's a Super Bowl, and in essence, you have the two best teams that are going to play to try to win, the trophy.
NFL players have Super Bowl watch parties too, so there you go. Now, obviously, your former head coach Mike Vrabel won NFL Coach of the Year for the second time in his career last night, but not one but two of your former head coaches in your career were award winners last night, as Josh McDaniels wins Assistant Coach of the Year, who you very briefly overlapped with at the start of your career in Denver. But no, how happy were you to see Vrabel get that award for the second time? He's the first coach to win it twice for two different franchises since Bruce Arians did with the Colts and then Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him understanding, the kind of guy that he is when he comes in, the culture that he sets, the expectations. that he sets. So I'm not surprised that they're at this stage. I mean, to the Super Bowl is pretty crazy when you think about it. But the success that they've had is not really surprising to me because guys, they buy in. They buy into what he's about. They do all the little things right. Smart football, the amount of film that I know that they've watched throughout the season, on those Wednesday, Thursday, Friday meetings, just going over everything situationally. And there's stuff that they go over with that I've never seen or been a part of in my 15-year career, but they still go over it because you never know. So clock management stuff, I mean, it's crazy. And so I'm not surprised. And obviously for Josh to get the assistant, of the years is he obviously excels, as an offensive coordinator, and he's proven that, many times. And so, the head coaching thing, that's not for everybody. There's a lot more on your plate when you're a head coach, a lot more of a team manager, kind of a CEO type, being able to delegate. And so that's not necessarily for everybody, but obviously to see him have the success with the offense and turn that offense around, especially for Drake May in the season that he's had, obviously just coming up short, winning the MVP. But yeah, happy for both those guys. And I don't think even last night, with all the awards, I felt like there was really no award where I was like, man, somebody else should have won that. I felt like it was properly distributed to guys that are well-deserving.
Brett Kern in studio with us. I do want to ask you about this Hall of Fame class, as the Belichick snub sort of hovers over all of it. But
you think Kraft is a part of that too?
What do you mean?
Like, because Kraft didn't get in, Belichick.
Sure, yeah, I think the Belichick / Kraft snub, but Kraft has been a candidate before, right? This was the first time
for Belichick,
and the fact that he's not a first ballot just has everybody's mind blown. But yes, that does all kind of hang over it. But still, 5 very deserving inductees here with Larry Fitzgerald. We haven't even mentioned Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Roger Craig, Drew Brees, and Adam Vinatieri, who becomes the 3rd kicker in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. How cool to see that for you as a career specialist. What kind of overlap or interaction did you have with Vinatieri during his career?
Yeah, I mean, I went from throwing snowballs at him when I went to a Bills-Patriots game. I think I was in high school. I think it might have been my senior year. And that's the thing, it's the stuff you do when you're in high school. You throw snowballs at opposing NFL teams. And so I remember throwing snowballs at him when he was trying to kick an extra point, which would be pretty difficult nowadays because the extra point's so further. But you gotta have a cannon to get that snowball to fly that far. When the extra point was shorter, a little bit easier throw. From early some of those.
Did you hit him?
No, I missed. The snowball, it was just a lighter snow. It just kind of exploded. But it was still cool to do. And then obviously to go playing against him a bunch of times, especially when he was in Indy, seeing him twice a year. But yeah, I mean, 24 years playing the league, 599 made field goals, 365 games. I thought, I played 220-ish, and that felt like a lot. So I can only imagine playing 365 games. 44 kicks in a row, over 2,600 points. And then obviously what he was able to do in the postseason, making some of those kicks when it obviously matters most in the situations that he was in. So, huge congrats to him. He'll be a part of the special teams Hall of Fame. That's in a wing in the Hall of Fame. If you go past the bathrooms, you go further down the wing, they have like just the specialists. So there's not a lot of us.
So that's 3 kickers, 1 punter.
Yeah, and I do think Shane Leckler should get in. How he changed the punting game. He got first team All-Pro 6 times, 7-time Pro Bowler. I mean, he led the NFL. I think 4 different times in punt yards over a season. I think he was on the All Decades team 2000 and 2010. Just changed the game, changed punting. Somebody that I looked up to and watched, and obviously was fortunate enough to play against him too. So I'd love to see him to get in as well as a punter.
Of all of these records that Vinatieri holds, for me as the layman, I look at 44 consecutive made field goals as maybe the craziest one.
That's nuts.
That's insane, right? Like, for reference, Joey Sly, the Titans kicker, attempted 35 this past season, attempted 33 the season before that. So you're talking about...
You have to go perfect. I think Fairbairn this year, he might have attempted 44.
Right.
So that's him going perfect
for
on
an
a
entire season, basically.
And now you're asking guys. I saw a stat earlier this week. In 2020, you're talking about how the kicking game has changed. Obviously we've talked about the footballs before, all that stuff. But you talk about kicks over 55 yards, right? In 2020, kickers 48%, right? This year, 2025, 60%. So you're looking at a 12% increase of kicks over 55 yards. If you would have asked me when I first got in the league in 2008, hey, guys are going to kick 60% over 55 yards, I would have been mind blown. Like that is crazy to me, because when I first got in the league, if you were 50% over 50 yards, not 55, but at 50 yards, if you're 50%, you were like, oh, dude, you are a stud. And so it's the game's changed. But for Vinatieri, 44 kicks in a row.
Is that the craziest stat of all those in your mind?
Gosh, I mean, obviously when you play 24 years, you're going to have the attempts. You're going to have the field goals made.
Yeah, the points.
So that kind of, with 24 years, you look at how many he's made, how many he's attempted. Obviously being with the Patriots and the amount of postseason games that he had, some of the clutch kicks that he made. But yeah, I think 44 in a row is pretty darn amazing. I'd be curious to see like the longest active streak in the league as far as who has that now. But and then I think 365 games. I mean, that is that's a lot of games.
He had
that's a lot of games.
7 seasons where he missed 3 field goals or less.
Yeah,
that's unreal. The crazier thing, only a 3-time All-Pro and 3-time Pro Bowler. Adam Vinatieri with 20 plus years. But
you got to think too. I mean, kicking New England, that's a really tough place to kick. And then he also kicked there when it was grass.
Yeah.
And for him to be able to go to Indianapolis, finish out his career there indoors. But the success that he had in New England in that weather, to have, I think he was probably about a 85% kicker, in New England, which is remarkable. You talked to Steven Gostkowski. I think there was about a 3 or 4 year stretch where he was right at about 90%. And that was, I voted for him for Pro Bowl because I'm like, man, for you to be able to be at 90% in New England, in that weather, you're playing at Buffalo, you're playing at the Jets. That's pretty amazing.
We have one game remaining to preview and pick for the 2025 NFL season, and we will do that with our Super Bowl 60 preview with Brett Kern next on 104.5 The Zone. All right, one more game to pick to preview with Brett Kern in studio with us on 104.5 The Zone. One more chance for you to enjoy some Hattie B's hot chicken while watching a football game as you take it in on Sunday. Super Bowl 60, Patriots and Seahawks. Brett, we were talking about it earlier. First time since 2003 that you have a Super Bowl matchup with two teams that missed the playoffs the year prior. The path to getting here has been fascinating.
Crazy.
Vrabel, year one, the Seahawks retooling in the offseason, bringing in Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith and Jigba taking that leap. And two defensive-minded head coaches face off in what could be, if the Seahawks win, the first time in NFL history that a defensive play-calling head coach wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If Mike McDonald and the Seahawks get it done. So we're going to talk about all the different facets of this game, but should we start with the pick?
It's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, look, I've had 2 weeks. I've read so many articles that I told, like, literally, it's just been, you can get a headache. And so that's when I had to rely on Robert's information.
That's right. So let's do this. Let's save the pick and start diving into the matchup here. To you,
yeah,
what is the more interesting matchup? Let's just go quarterback versus defensive front. Quarterback / offensive line versus defensive front. Drake May has been sacked 15 times in the playoffs, second most taken by any player in a postseason since 66.
Yeah, they have the highest sack differential, -13, which is the highest of any team in a Super Bowl.
Right. So is it Drake May and that young Patriots offensive line against this ferocious Seahawks front? Patriots have seen some pretty good fronts in these playoffs, that we should add.
Yeah.
Or is it
in really bad weather?
Yeah, in the snow.
Two games they've had bad.
Hard to
weather.
find a tougher. As much as we talk about the path that's been laid out, right? They've had to play, Justin Herbert with that offensive line and then C.J. Stroud melting down and Jarrett Stidham. Yeah. They have had to face some of the best defenses the league has to offer in the Texans, the Broncos, and now the Seahawks. So, to you, what's the bigger challenge? Is it Drake May and this young Patriots offensive line against the Seahawks front, or is it Sam Darnold and that Seahawks offensive line against the Patriots front that probably doesn't get enough credit for how good it's been this year?
Yeah. That's tough. I mean, because, like, I'm looking at, I mean, first of all, I'll just come out here and say I think the biggest key is turnovers. Teams that win the turnover margin in the Super Bowl are 40-7. You look at Seattle, 0 turnovers in the playoffs. New England has 5. New England finished the season +3. Seattle was -3. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. Because you look at New England's 3 losses, all 3 losses have been by 7 points or less. For Seattle, their 3 losses have been by a total of 9 points. So obviously both teams playing in close games. Obviously you've seen New England, what they've been through in this playoff run with some of the close games that they've had, especially the last one in Denver being what it was. But I look at Drake. Can they protect him well enough? Drake has done well in the regular season, at least, with tight throws. He had one of the highest percentages in tight window throws. But, you look at, the last 10 years, 32 quarterbacks have played 3 playoff games. Drake would be dead last in EPA per pass play and success rate. So, like, obviously he's struggled in the playoffs. And, they've gone against some really good defenses. And I also think the weather, too, is tough. It's tough to throw, in New England with that snow, rain, whatever mix it was. And then obviously you go to Denver. They were using blowers to blow off the yard lines and all that kind of stuff, and it was windy. But I look at, big plays. Can New England get big plays? They ranked first in explosive plays this year, which is runs over 10 yards. Runs over 10 yards and passes over 16 yards. And Drake was first in pass attempts over 20 yards. So if they can find a way to get some big plays, but then I look at Drake's legs, right? If they're having a hard time protecting him, he's going to take sacks. That we've seen that over the last 3 games in the playoffs and the regular season. But Seattle's 16th against the scramble. So can Drake find a way? Can he find those holes to extend drives? Get that 10-yard run, maybe that explosive run, 15, maybe 20 yards to move the sticks. Of the 52 guys that had over 100 rushes this year, Drake was second in rushing success rate. And Robert's boy, Josh Allen, was first. And so that takes in like scramble, design runs, sneak, all that kind of stuff. But Drake was second behind Josh Allen. So I think that's a huge matchup. With this offensive line, I think it's a rookie left tackle, rookie left guard.
Yeah.
Going against Leonard Williams. I mean, that's tough. And so, I think if Drake can, like I said, find the way to use his legs and extend drives, I think they'll be okay to move the ball. Because you've seen Seattle's given up. I mean, their defense has been stout pretty much except against the Rams.
Yeah.
They gave up. I mean, the Rams had 479 yards of total offense last week or 2 weeks ago. So it can be done, but obviously you look at the Rams and who they have, it's a different animal. And I think for Sam Darnold, it just becomes, he started out the year phenomenal. I think his week 1 through 10 stats were amazing. And then obviously they fell off, towards the end of the year and finishing the year. So, if he doesn't turn the ball over, which he hasn't done in these 2 playoff games, I think Seattle will get this win, no problem.
Darnold.
So, yeah, Sam Darnold.
If he doesn't
turn the ball over, because we talked about, I mean, he had 16 or 14 interceptions this year, 6 fumbles, was kind of turnover prone, and here he is in the playoffs, and now he has no turnovers, and obviously you've seen the success of Seattle and how they've obviously dismantled the 49ers and obviously beat the Rams. So I think, like I said, it goes back to turnovers, and if Sam can protect the ball, and with JSN. I'm really curious to see the JSN Christian Gonzalez matchup, because JSN had 428 yards this year versus man coverage, which was 3rd in the NFL. But Christian Gonzalez was 4th this year against man. When he played man, only giving up 4.7 per. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. JSN will get his. It just depends on how much he will get. And then Kenneth Walker, is he able to run the ball like he has in the playoffs?
He's carrying the load.
He was 45th in success rate, but then he also had 10 runs of 20 yards or more this year, which was 3rd in the NFL. So it's there. That big explosive run is there. And lastly, I think special teams is going to be huge.
Yeah, I was going to say that Rams-Seahawks game turning into kind of the shootout quarterback duel that it was.
Right.
Maybe the biggest difference in that game, special teams.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The turnover by the Rams setting up a Seahawks score. We've seen the Seahawks make an impact on special teams throughout the course of the postseason with Rashid Shaheed. But you and I were talking in the break. Everybody's going to talk about Rashid Shaheed, and deservingly so. Never been a punt return in a Super Bowl before, by the way. So we'll see if that happens here. For a touchdown, I should say. There have been many punt returns. But we're kind of leaving out Marcus Jones, right? Rashid Shaheed's a pretty damn good player, but Marcus Jones can make an impact back there.
Yeah, I mean, Shaheed, he averaged 14.7 yards of return this year. He had 2 touchdowns, one in the regular season, obviously one against San Francisco in the playoffs. Marcus Jones, 17.3 per return, along with 94 and 2 touchdowns. So here you got 2 punt returners, both have 2 touchdowns on the year. Michael Dixon, punter for Seattle, they gave up 15.5 yards per punt return, which was 2nd worst in the league. 19 returns for 295 yards, that's a lot. That's anytime you're giving up almost 2 first downs per punt return. And so you're talking about every little thing, every, field position is going to be ginormous. And so, if New England can find something on special teams, and kind of help control field position, I think that's going to be huge. And Bryce Behringer, they had 22 returns for 265. They're giving up 12 yards per return. So I think that battle of the field position Dixon is he's from Australia, went to Texas. To see him, he's got a lot of tools in the tool bag, and he is very good, very efficient at directional punting and pinning teams deep. And so I just think, if you're winning this field position battle, that's just another thing that'll help you win this game.
The special teams coordinator of the Seahawks is Jay Harbaugh, son of Jim.
Oh.
The special teams coordinator of the Patriots is Jeremy Springer. Not Jerry, but Jeremy Springer.
Let's clarify.
Former assistant special teams coach of the Rams. With all of the attention that the Seahawks special teams unit kind of gets, it's a lauded unit, and rightfully so. They're one of the most well-rounded teams in the league. How much do you think Vrabel has been in the ear of Jeremy Springer this week ahead of this special teams matchup?
A lot. Yeah. I mean, it's because, like I said, I know Vrabel, obviously playing with him, what he looks into as far as, hey, if you're going to start, if you're punting and you get a touchback, you start on the 20. He knows all the percentages of their percentage chance of getting a field goal. He knows the percentage of them, getting a touchdown. And then he knows it from the 15, from the 10, from the 5. He knows all that stuff. So I know for him, I know he's been preaching, harping on field position. And then obviously when they're punting, trying not to give up a first down. Right? Can we limit Shaheed to under 10 yards of return? Right? Because the last thing you want to do is, give up a 20-yard return, 30-yard return, and there's 2 first downs, 3 free first downs, right? That you're giving up to Seattle and their offense. So I know he preached it a bunch regular season. That's something a guy that played special teams understands the field position game, the hidden yardage that we talk about, that he talks about a bunch. And so I think special teams is going to be huge, and just that hidden yardage, the extra return yardage that you get, those free first downs that you get with return yardage. You kind of saw it this year with DK and his ability to get, every time he's touching that ball on a punt return, obviously he's not calling a fair catch, but if he was returning it, you're looking at almost 2 first downs that he averaged this year, and how much that can help. Just with field position and your offense. So I think special teams, everybody's talking about the offense versus defense, all these little matchups, but I think the special teams is going to be huge.
Brett Kern in studio with us. Before we pick the game, you did touch on the JSN Christian Gonzalez matchup. Is there a more intriguing, just mano-a-mano matchup in this game than that one? This is it. Yeah, for sure.
Right. I think you have some other, little matchups here and there. You talk about Campbell and, Leonard Williams and that matchup. And, there's some stuff here and there. But I think, you're looking at the offensive player of the year, right, that you have to cover and that you have to try to take care of. And Christian Gonzalez has proven to be a stud corner, top 5 in the league. And so someone that excels in man coverage. And so that matchup, and you've seen JSN, what he's done this year. The stats that he's put up are amazing, and so you just don't want him to wreck the game. Like I said, he's going to get his right, but if it's one of those where it's like, hey man, he got 6 for 60, or 7 catches for 65, 70 yards, right, no touchdowns. Like I think that's a win, right? The last thing you want is for him to go out there and get 8, 9 catches for $150 and 2 touchdowns. Then I think New England's going to have a hard time with that.
All right, time to pick the game.
Bert, where are your stats?
Oh, I've got stats.
You said you had some.
I do have stats. I want you guys to pick the game first, and then we can do the fun stuff.
He's gonna throw some props at us after we pick this game. Weather will be pleasant in Santa Clara. Yeah. We're looking at a high of 66, so maybe around kickoff in the low 60s.
What's the wind at?
Partly cloudy. That's a good question.
Because they got two open ends. If it's coming off the bay.
Currently, the wind right now is 4 to 6 mile per hour gusts.
Let's go.
So I think it will be a pleasant evening in Santa Clara on Sunday. Mike Vrabel, you're 1 in New England. Mike McDonald, you're 2 in Seattle. The 2 Mikes, they have never faced off, obviously, as head coaches. It is a rematch of the infamous Malcolm Butler play Super Bowl from 11 years ago. Seahawks and Patriots. 2 14-3 teams at Levi's Stadium. Kickoff at 5:30 on Sunday. You can hear the Westwood One call right here on the Zone. Coverage starts at 11 a.m. here on the Zone on Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks, 4.5-point favorites.
Yeah, my heart obviously wants the Patriots to win. Just knowing some of the guys up there, the coaches, all that kind of stuff. But I think Seattle covers, which is painful because I don't like. I want New England to win, but I just think Seattle can, I think they win by a touchdown.
Bert?
I never go spreads in the Super Bowl. For me, the Super Bowl is the culmination. Any winnings I have in any book, in any app on my phone, I am going balls to the walls with my bet. So covers... That doesn't do it for me. I need some better odds. Daddy wants to have a little bit of spending money, something to wing, to shine up with after the game. I'm going to say Seahawks money line. I don't want any points. I think they win. That's all I need.
All 3 of us are going to go with the Seahawks.
Which inevitably means that the congratulations on your 2026 Super Bowl
to the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
I think Seahawks win. I have a hard time seeing the Seahawks pull away. Now, you can win by more than 4.5 points without pulling away. But I think Mike Vrabel finds a way to bring this game down to the wire. But I just think the Seahawks have more just across the board. I think the Patriots are just a little bit outgunned here. This is by far the best performing quarterback they will see in the postseason, right? Sam Darnold still has that sort of tag to him. It's like everybody's just waiting for the meltdown to happen, but it hasn't happened. He's been phenomenal in these playoffs, and it's hard to trust second-year Drake May, as good as he's been, the MVP runner-up, over what Sam Darnold has done. If you're just to ask that question, who do you trust more in this moment? Darnold, with the support that he has right now with the Seattle Seahawks and how well-rounded they are as a unit, I think in the end exposes some things that the Patriots have been able to play past, whether it's who they've been playing in the postseason. To their credit, they've taken advantage of every scenario that's been placed in front of them. But
which is expected as a Mike Vrabel coach team.
But I think the Seahawks just have that little bit more at the end of the day. So we're all going Seahawks as Super Bowl champs.
All right, you guys want game props? Or do you want game-adjacent props?
We're not betting on the national anthem or
and
what
how,
the flyover will be, what military.
What Bad Bunny's opener will be, who he'll bring out.
Okay. I hear you guys. We'll start with the game bets, and then I'll persuade you on my
I love the game-adjacent bets, but just dealer's choice.
Okay, we'll start with the game bets. Did you guys know that something could happen in this Super Bowl that has never happened in the history of the NFL?
A punt return for a touchdown.
Punt return for a touchdown. Defensive play calling head coach winning.
Dang it, Brett already had it. Did you guys talk about that?
We did. Yeah, we hit on it. We
just talked about it.
We hit on it with
but since it's never happened once, the odds of it happening twice are insane. So if you'll break these down into two separate legs, Rashid Shaheed anytime touchdown is plus 370. He's their big game guy, their deep threat, the guy that if you get him in an ISO and he says hell with it, he's going to chuck it down the field. I like plus 370 as a solo bet.
Yeah.
New England's defense or special teams touchdown is plus 550. I like that. You can lay down a little bit of money, make a nice little chunk, but if you're like me, and you don't want a little chunk. You don't want a piece of ham. I want the whole slab. Parlay those two together for plus 2,955 smackaroos. That both Rashid Shaheed, and it's an anytime touchdown, so it doesn't have to be a punt return on Shaheed's side. But if Marcus Jones also takes a punt return back and you get a little safety as defense can score as well, almost plus 3,000. I love that as a seeker bet. Might not happen. Might not happen, but a $10 bet would win you close to $300, and you will be jumping up and down and spill over the crock pot of whatever amazing dip your mom or their friend has brought to your party. You guys like that one?
I do kind of like that. That's the one with the special teams route. You know your audience.
How familiar are you guys with one George Halani?
Nope.
George Halani, former Boise State running back, was one of the runners with Ashton Genty. He went undrafted in 2024. He is taking the place of Zach Charbonnet as the backup running back. Now, he hasn't fared that well. Ended with less than 10 yards in the game against the Rams in the playoffs. But his rushing number is at 10.5. Kenneth Walker has been amazing, but I wonder if they don't mix it up a little bit, give some guys some extra shake. George Halani, over 10.5 rushing yards. Give me that. I need go look up George Halani rushing highlights. Go look them up to find out the kind of guy that you're getting. The stats don't look that great. The dude had like 73 rushing yards on the season, but Charbonnet was the barrier of entry, right? I like George Halani to have more than 10.5 rushing yards. Pencil me in for 11.
Oh, this is good. These are the
for
deep,
11.
Some deep pencil me in.
If George Halani gets a rush in the first quarter, 11 yards, you guys are just going to hear all kinds of noise coming from my house.
These are these deep cut props.
Okay, well, now we'll go to the game.
Yeah, give us some of the fun ones.
This is the fun stuff.
Can you prop all three of those together?
Oh, my. Oh, my. If you did that, I think you'd be looking at like plus 5,000. You'd be looking at something really sexy. Gatorade color. It's a shot in the dark. Nobody knows this, but can I tell you guys what the last color to be done and since the Giants won the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 42?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
So I only did purple Gatorade. For some reason, that's what we had on the sidelines with the Titans. Purple. And in Philly, it was orange. So I think it's let's go purple.
Orange is the favorite at plus 220. Purple, not the favorite at plus 800. I'm going to get you. Okay, 800 is not bad, and I don't think there's a wrong pick. But Super Bowl 42 was the last time that the Gatorade color was clear. It was water. Water and or clear Gatorade is at plus 1,200. If you're going to put some money on some stupid-ass bet like a Gatorade, you might as well go all the way in. It has been
call the hotline while you're
It has been 18 years since we've had water Gatorade bath. Give me clear for the Gatorade bath. The last one for you, and it's a two-part for the halftime show. I'll make this quick because we're up against the line. Who will perform at the big game? We all already know it's Bad Bunny. And because it has kind of alienated the American audience, we're not really sure, they're going to put a star with him. They're going to put someone with him that is recognizable. Now, Ricky Martin and Lady Gaga are the two favorites at minus 194 and 170 respectively. But when you get to the first participant of plus money, Cardi B.
Yeah, it's Cardi B.
Cardi B is at plus 138. Her boyfriend / husband / baby daddy is playing in the Super Bowl.
Stephon Diggs, yep.
She will be there.
And they have a song together.
It is crazy to me to not take a little cheddar and throw it on Cardi B.
Hammer Cardi B.
Participating in the Super Bowl.
She's going to be there. You know she's going to be there. She's the only artist on that list that has a song with Bad Bunny as a feature on it. Absolutely, Cardi B to me is a slam dunk that she'll be out there at some point.
And then we're going with the length of the halftime show. And I would normally not do this without some kind of statistic or number to support this.
It's long.
The last 5 Super Bowl halftime shows have all gone 13 minutes or more. Every one of them. The closest, Rihanna with 13 flat. Kendrick went 13-20. Usher went 15. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, the whole shebang when they went.
Was it an hour?
14.
Yeah, so
the
many.
Weekend went 13-30. I think to say if you go to 13 minutes, you are minus $669. But if you think that he goes over 15 minutes, you're looking at plus 143. I don't like that. I think it's under 15 minutes because the audience is not aware of what he does or be super familiar with him. I don't think they give you an endless long buffet of Bad Bunny. I'm sorry to tell you, Lucas. I would go under 15 minutes at plus 236.
I feel like, Robert, with these prop bets, you could be a pretty happy man come Monday.
Or
We'll see.
I'll be dialing that number.
Or the Gatorade one's got me fascinated.
Hey, Cheyenne, can I have some money for lunch?
All right, we'll find out on Monday if Robert is broke or rich.
I almost want to give you some money to bet on these things.
He'll take it. Too.
I don't need it, but I would gladly take it.
Brett, appreciate you making us smarter all season, man. This has been great.
Well, I just get, like I said, I get the stats from Robert and just try to communicate them the best that I can to the people.
Brett Kern, we will catch up again soon. There will be much to discuss in the coming months with the
Got
draft.
Masters. I already seen a Masters commercial.
You will be our Masters analyst, no doubt.
Go.
World Cup a little bit after that.
That's true.
Plenty to talk about down the road, but appreciate all the time.
Absolutely. It's been a blast.
Brett Kern, Titans legend, in studio with us as he has been all season long. We will wrap up the show and the football season coming up next with some polls. Final segment of the show today of the football season for us. Super Bowl 60. You can hear it right here on the Zone, courtesy of Westwood One. You can enjoy some Hattie B's hot chicken while you take it in. Patriots and Seahawks on Sunday. The older I get, the more I appreciate a good Super Bowl party, Robert, as long as you have the right people to do it with. Just that confluence of the food and the music and the commercials. I still appreciate the Super Bowl commercials. I don't think you have to be one of these people that demands that everybody is quiet for every commercial break, but I have not been to a Super Bowl party where that's been the case. I enjoy a good Super Bowl party.
See, I've got a hot take that I think going to Super Bowl parties with people that you don't really like is even better than going to Super Bowl parties with people that you do like, because I'm not going to be worried about people's opinion of me at a party of people I don't like.
So you can just be belligerent.
Yes, be belligerent, be extremely full, poop up their bathroom, maybe not flush, steal something from their house. Like, we're going to your buddy's house, so I'm not going to be embrazened to just commit grand theft auto or theft larceny, just break in and steal maybe like a plaque, a bowling trophy. You can do that if you go to people's houses you don't like. So I'm kind of upset that I do like the people I'm partying with, but it'll be fun anyway. It'll be fun anyway.
Let's do some polls.
The polls brought to you by the South's most trusted dealer. That's Two Rivers Ford. Who you got? 73% of the audience are on the Seahawks, 27% on the Patriots.
Seahawks do seem to be overwhelming favorites, not necessarily by point spread, but not seeing a lot of folks picking New England in this game, which makes me think New England's going to win, but we all did go with the Seahawks.
Right. If Buck was here, I'll spare everyone and give you the spark notes of it from primetime last night. I have watched Mike Vrabel win 1,000,001 of these games. These are the games Mike Vrabel wins. And I think he ended primetime by saying, go win that. Go win that.
Ew.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. He's a terrible fan. Do you think Charles Bediako will win his preliminary injunction hearing? 29% say yes, and 70.4% say hell no.
Still waiting on a resolution. Now, it could very well be the case that there's not finality for Charles Bediako today. It could be the case that there's not any finality for Joey Aguilar next Friday. These judges can say, well, we'll do it later. They can kick the can as much as they want. So we'll see. But I have no feel on how this is going to go one way or another.
Does it bother you as a Titans fan to see Mike Vrabel win NFL Coach of the Year? 12.6% say yes, 34.5% say I'm tired of hearing about it, and 52.9% say no, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I think
probably the proper response.
I think folks are over it. I think folks are over the revisionist history of where the Titans were, how stuck in the mud they were at the end of the 2024 season. I think people are ready to move on, to say the least.
Has at Robbie_Walsh, that's ROBBY_WALSH, if you'd like to follow me on X or Twitter, gotten you into the show Traitors? I did the math. 86.5% of people said no. 13.5% of people said yes. There were 37 votes on this. About five people.
Not a lot of votes.
About four people, and I voted yes as one of the people. So I got three people into watching Traitors. And if you missed last night, you need to go watch it because it's taken everything in me not to spoil it for you guys and just go, holy crap, what's going on? Traitors, exceptional this season. And if you watched it because of me, thank you. And if you haven't watched it yet, you need to, because I need somebody to talk to about it, because Lucas will not engage with me on this.
Talk to Ben Jones about it. Do we have Ben next week?
I don't think so.
No.
I think all of our regularly scheduled listeners, our regularly scheduled guests are taking a summer sabbatical.
We are wandering into the desert post-football season. But the draft, March Madness, there is much to discuss that lies ahead. Are those the polls?
Those are the polls.
That's the show. Enjoy the game on Sunday. Make sure you're enjoying some Hattie B's hot chicken while you do it. Cover 2 coming up next, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday morning.